Out in the wild, we're giving me cookie. On the Irish Gate, it's the first time I've ever yeah. You turn down this lane and get as well. You're going to get the best of the conditions.
Well, good morning everybody, welcome to the Fisher County Ground, Grace Road in Leicester. Royal London Cup 50 over competition. A match between Leicestershire and Derbyshire, brought to you by BBC Radio Leicester and of course BBC Radio Derby. Myself, Richard Ray, for the former, Dave Fletcher for the latter. And the news from the Fisher County Ground is that Derbyshire have won the toss and chosen to bowl first. It's a used pitch, the pitch that was used by Leicestershire for their Runfest against Worcestershire last Sunday. and it looks reasonably unmarked, and given how well it played, no real surprise, I don't think, that it will be being used again. The two umpires heading out into the middle, Michael Goff and Peter Hartley. The two Leicestershire openers, Paul Horton and Harry Dearden, behind them, and the Derbyshire team, having completed their pre-match huddle, now heading out into the middle behind them. A little bit grey and cloudy here at the Fisher County ground. Not too cold though, there's a little bit of sun. It's mostly white cloud above, and the weather forecast, Derbyshire lost to Nottinghamshire at Derby last time out by 6 wickets, but beat Northamptonshire in their first game, also at Derby, back on April the 19th by a conclusive 53 runs. Leicestershire beat Worcestershire last time out, having lost away comprehensively, as we said, at Yorkshire, and pretty decisively similarly at Durham as well. Well, you should be able to watch the stream linked up to our commentary, although I note at the moment it's still showing the Worcestershire game, and somebody needs to press the right button on that one sooner rather than later. So, Wayne Madsen, they're going to try and squeeze in a few overs from him early. Sometimes it's just, he actually opens the bowling in T20 cricket. From time to time, the veteran Derbyshire man, he's going to try and hurry through an over or two of off-spin, and he's going to be bowling to Harry Dearden. In he goes from the pavilion end, bowls drops a little bit short, Dearden goes back on his stumps, plays it firmly past mid-wicket, straight out towards Long On, who comes in to meet the ball about halfway, and the single is duly taken. Alex Hughes, the fielder at Long On, he comes up now to mid-off for the batting of Horton, the right-handed Horton. Harry Dearden, young left-hander, of course, 91 was it, I think he made last time out, his best score for Leicestershire in any form of the game. Came off 92 balls, and disappointed he was not to go on and get 3 figures. Wayne Madsen hands Peter Hartley his Derbyshire sweater, and in he goes over the wicket to Paul Horton, who's a little bit squared up. He's looking to push the ball across the line, out into the leg side, comes something off a leading edge and goes out towards extra cover. No run. Madsen in again, gives it lots of air. Horton waits for it and then just clips it out towards mid-on, who's on the edge of the circle, so there's always going to be one there. Billy Goddleman, the skipper, out there. So singles for both openers to get them up and running. 2 without loss after 3 balls. Live stream still showing in goes Madsen, forward goes Dearden, on off stump, pushing it out into the offside, and there is no run. It was still showing the Worcester game last time I looked. Need to get that sorted out ASAP, please. In goes Madsen, goes back Dearden, and looks to chop him away on the offside. It goes on with the arm rather and stays a touch low, and Dearden has to adjust, hits it hard down into the ground, it bounces out towards extra cover, and there's no run. Dearden just remarks his guard, settles himself again. In goes Madsen, forward on off stump goes Harry Dearden, and perfectly respectable first over from Wayne Madsen. Yields just a couple of singles to the Leicestershire course. 2 without loss after 1 over. Updates coming for BBC Radio Leicester into their news bulletins, of course, every half hour. You know how it works these days. Here it comes. They've been put into bat by Derbyshire here at a grey and slightly chillier Fisher County ground, but the pitch is the same as was used for the Worcestershire game. A lot of runs in it, and the Foxes will be looking to set a big score. They just picked up a couple of singles off the first over. Harry Dearden, who scored 92 against Worcestershire, his best score for the Foxes. He'll be looking to repeat that sort of feat. He's on 1 not out. The captain, Paul Horton, also has 1, and after 1 over, the Foxes are 2 without loss. Back with you on the commentary. Opening the bowling for Derbyshire from the Bennett end is Alfie Gleadle. Bowler I haven't seen too much of, I must admit. Splendidly named. Alfie Frank Gleadle. I think that's how you pronounce it. Gleadle, perhaps. He's coming down the slope from the Bennett end. In he goes and bowls 2. Paul Horton, who clips him away through mid-wicket. Don't think he's going to get 4. He isn't, because there is a sweeper out on the deep square boundary who runs around to deep mid-wicket. And Horton picks up a couple. Moves on to 3. Just drifted onto Midland leg there, Gleadle. And Horton didn't try and hit it too hard, just steered it away through mid-wicket. Picked up a couple. Leicestershire on to 4 without loss. Horton 3. Dearden a single. He's got the slip in, Alfie Gleadle, and he's going to have an extra mid-wicket now. Billy Godleman having seen that one not swing, as in goes Gleadle and bowls 2. Horton very full again, squeezed out rather by Horton. Gleadle gets a right hand to it, deflects it on to Harry Dearden as he put his bat back into his crease at the non-striker's end. Dot ball results, and Dave Fletcher, having updated BBC Radio Derby, is now going to be joining us for the first time today as Gleadle turns, down the slope he comes, bowls 2. Horton again very full. Horton waiting for it, gets it off the bottom of the bat, and having pushed it back down the pitch towards Gleadle, examines the bottom of his bat a little carefully, but it seems to be all well. Just the 1 slip, otherwise single saving field with the 2 men out at deep square. It's usually 3rd man, isn't it? It is 3rd man. There's Gleadle, not a particularly tall man, turns. In he comes, bowls outside off stump, and the 3rd man's in the game, as it's a little bit wide and a little bit short of the ideal length. Might just have swung a bit, but Horton right on top of the bounce steered it down to 3rd man and takes 1. 5 without loss. Horton for Dearden 1. And morning, Fletch, how are you?
Morning, Richard. Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, Alfie's is an interesting character. Made his first-class debut last year against Durham, and then went away with England under 19s, broke his back. So he's another poor, unfortunate young fast bowler who suffered back problems.
In he comes and bowls 2. Harry Dearden, who is driving thick outside edge. He's got it through gully. He wasn't in control of the shot really, but it was safe enough. Just about on top of the bounce, steered it out too wide. 3rd man takes 1 and keeps the strike. 6 without loss after 2 overs. Dearden a couple. Horton has 4. Not the first young fast bowler broken by the England system.
No, indeed. But he's come back this season, made his first appearance for Derbyshire List A cricket against Nottinghamshire on Sunday, picked up 3 for 43, including 2 wickets in 1 over, which sort of gave Derbyshire a bit of false hope, sadly. But he's as all cricketers tend to be. He's a nice young man, and he's a very competitive young man as well. His celebration was slightly embarrassing. Wayne Madsen from the pavilion end, dancing down the track is Dearden, who clumps him 1 bounce back over his head for 4 runs. First boundary of the Leicestershire innings. They move up to 10 without loss, and Dearden's not going to be hanging around against the, with all due respect, part-time stream of Wayne Madsen, who did open the bowling against Notts as well in a departure from the opening game. He's in again now, and Dearden pushes it out into the offside where Lias Duploy does the fielding.
Lias?
As in Cornelius.
Okay.
But it isn't Cornelius. As Madsen's in and bowls. It was clipped into the leg side, and he got a hand to it, Critchley, diving away to his right, couldn't hold on. Well, that is half a chance. It was a good effort by Critchley diving away to his right. Almost pulled off a similar catch against Notts. He must be wondering exactly what he's got to do to take one. But Dearden half a chance.
He was out caught at mid-wicket last time out as well. Didn't quite hit it quite as hard on that occasion, and he'd got 92, but...
That's a bit better.
Indeed. And his heart will have been in his mouth there, because he got quite a good piece of that, Critchley.
Yes, he did. He took all the pace off it, really. It was fielded eventually by Alex Hughes coming round.
Stream's up and running. Somebody's pressed the right button, so hopefully you can see as well as see what's going on, as well as hear from us via the Leicestershire website.
For all my errors.
They've been super, the streams this year, so far. So all being well, Leicestershire website if you have access to a computer.
That's a balls to Horton, who just pushes it quite firmly to deploy. He was fielding at mid-wicket. And it's now run 11 without loss. Derbyshire won the toss and decided they would have a bowl first, I think possibly with Duckworth Lewis in mind. Matson's in again, and it's pushed out to Critchley this time. Cover. Another dot ball, man outside the circle, both on the leg side, I think. Yes, one straight and one out the mid-wicket boundary. It's the final delivery of the Madsen over. It's pushed out to Matt Critchley. 3 gone, 11 without loss. Dearden has 7, Horton has 4. A steady start to this one. It's Derbyshire's 3rd game and Leicestershire's 4th in the competition this season. 1-1 Derbyshire, 1-2 Leicestershire. So
in he comes and bowls and full again and clipped through mid on. This time has gone for 4. Dearden, full of confidence and seeing it well after his innings against Worcestershire. Got hold of that one nicely and not afraid, clearly, to hit the ball in the air.
No.
They know this pitch. The Leicestershire players played on it on Sunday. They know there are plenty of runs in it. They know it comes on to the bat. I had a chat to the groundsman this morning. He was chuffed to bits with the pitch. He said, especially as it isn't one of the relayed ones, he said it just shows the benefit of having time to work on them at the start of the season. Gleedle in again, 2 Dearden down the leg side. Dearden tries to help it on its way, didn't get anything on it. Taken by Harvey Hussain. Nice to see him behind the stumps again. He claps his white gauntlets together, having taken it two-handed to his right. Wide conceded by Gleedle. 16 without loss. Start of the 4th over. Splendidly sort of old-fashioned name, isn't it? Alfie Frank Gleedle. In he comes and bowls to Dearden, who's got that one away through mid-wicket. Scampers off past Gleedle, turns for the second. The man at mid-wicket has to make ground 20 yards or so to his right. Does so. But in the end, a comfortable 2 for Harry Dearden. He's into double figures now on to 11. Leicestershire 16 without loss. A few more people coming into the ground. Nothing yet. Half as many as came into the ground on Sunday. Nothing like half as many. But I think the weather forecast has improved a little bit. Might be a few more coming in a bit later. In goes Gleedle. Bowls full, driven firmly back past him. He falls to his left as he tries to stop the ball. Didn't actually time it as well as he would have liked. Harried in, and in the end a reasonably comfortable stop. Well, he went almost straight to him. In fact, a very comfortable stop at mid-on. I think it's the captain out there, Billy Godwin. It's not actually, is it? It's Matt Critchley, I beg his pardon.
Godwin always goes to mid-off, right or left hand, normally.
And he is the taller of the 2. In goes Gleedle, and just waiting for that one, Harry Dearden just leans forward and guides it down to 3rd man. Jogs the single. Sam Connors, it is down there. Is it Connors with an O or an E? It is an E.
It is with an E, yeah. It's Connors with an E. He's making his list A debut. Today played in the game against the Universities pre-season and has been in the squad for the Championship. Another England under-19 player, one who hasn't broken his back, so that makes it
sound horribly dramatic. That in goes Gleedle and bowls. Horton waits for it and just stabs it down to 3rd man and jogs a single. He's spelled wrong in the Cricketers Who's Who then.
Well, he is, yeah.
He'll have to like
himself, did he? He's a good kid.
In which case the George Spencer Academy in Nottingham has much to...
Yes, he's a Nottingham boy, but he's come through the ranks at Derbyshire. He's a little bit older than Alfie. Alfie Gledill's 18 still. Another 2000. Derbyshire's second player born in 2000 to play for the first team after Hamidullah Kadri.
Good to see the youngsters getting a
Well,
chance.
it is, but my word, it makes you feel old, doesn't it? 2000, I've got t-shirts older than Alfie. In fact, I might be wearing one today. Good grief. Gledill's gone to short third man for the next over from Wayne Madsen, which is he's claiming a catch and he's been given. It's been taken by Harvey Hussain. And Horton goes for 5. Wayne Madsen strikes in his third over. Tried to dab it down towards Gledall at third man. Just got the faintest of nicks through to the keeper. And Derbyshire have struck Leicestershire 20 for 1 in the 5th.
Yeah, not a very nice shot from Paul Horton. He's usually reasonably good at playing the shot, certainly against the quicker bowlers, but it was something of a sort of jab, really. That one from Wayne Madsen. Madsen didn't look convinced initially. Hussain was certain and Horton was more or less walking, but Madsen had sort of only really put his weight into the appeal when he realised Hussain had gone up, and I don't think there's any doubt about it. Absolutely, I think he got the edge, Paul Horton. His reaction suggests as much. But it's one of those that keeper more certain than the bowler. Either way, Horton's on his way. Another failure for him.
Let's bring Mark Cosgrove out, though, which is always a concern to opposition bowlers, I would suggest. Especially when Wayne Madsen's got 5 more balls of this over to go. I mean, he'll enjoy the contest, will Wayne Madsen, but
he's been a bit hit and miss so far this season, Mark Cosgrove, and well, he missed out badly. Bowled second ball on Sunday on this very good track, and I think he'll be determined, having seen Colin Ackerman get 100 and Lewis Hill get 100 and Harry Dearden get 90 odd on it, not to miss out. Morning. Lots of people on Twitter. Good morning, Sally. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Tim Singleton. Sally says we're her dream commentary team.
really?
Not literally, hopefully. Horrible thought.
That's impulse that Cosgrove defenses straight back to the bowler. And there is no
I've
run.
got to turn up Dave's
Have you?
mic
I
a
might
little
swap
bit,
my
Sally
headphones
says.
for some of mine when I come in next time, because I can't hear myself, which is very, very weird as Madsen bowls, and it's allowed to go through to Hussain, who whips the bails off. He almost actually destroys the stumps, in all honesty.
I can hear you okay,
Yes.
but yeah, by all means.
Yeah, I just can't hear myself. Not that I would inflict myself on anybody else, but it sounds like I've just got muffs on, if you know what I mean. Anyway, that's my problem. Here's Madsen bowls. This is turned into the leg side. A little aerial. It goes past Gledlow as he dives away at short, fine leg. A run round here for Tom Lace, who touches the ball for the first time, I think, possibly this innings. He might have touched it in the first over, actually. And Cosgrove comes back for a second. His throw is a little wild, in all honesty. The youngster on loan from Middlesex for the season.
Sally says, how's the beard?
Yeah, fine.
Still there?
Yeah, still here. Still here. The only place I can grow hair anywhere on my head now. As Madsen comes in again and bowls to Cosgrove. Again it's on the leg stump, and again it's clipped away, this time wide of Gledall, and he's racing towards the boundary. Can Gledall catch it? Yes, he can. He throws it back in. They're going to come back for a third as well, but he saved up 1 there as Gledall. That's 2 poor balls really from Wayne Madsen, 2 straight, and Cosgrove has made the most of them. He's moved on to 5, and Leicestershire 2, 26 for 1. Very round arm action, Wayne Madsen.
It is, isn't it?
It's very much his own. You'd recognise him anywhere. There's nothing upright about his bowling at all.
I'm used to seeing him sort of squeezing and over at the start of the T20.
Yeah.
But this is a bit different.
He's in again. Balls to Dearden, who clips it into the leg side. It's beyond the grasp of Matt Critchley, and they think about a second, but they don't really. It was a cry of no as Lace came in to do the fielding.
Had Lewis Hill been his partner there, Dearden, he might have thought about it seriously, but
There you go.
not with Cuzzy.
There are certain batsmen who you can almost rely on not to take the quick second. Billy Godalming doesn't take many quick 2s. Madson's in and bowls, and it's defended back to him by Cosgrove. Madsen fields off his own bowling, but it was a successful over. A wicket off the first ball. There was a wide in there as well, which that must have been the one where the bails were whipped off by Harvey Hussain. 27 for 1 after 5. So I think both sides have been relatively happy. 1 wicket for Derbyshire, going along nicely at 5 and over Leicestershire.
Morning, Joe. Yes, Bakewell tart is indeed the cake of the day. It being the visit of Derbyshire. We had pear and ginger loaf for the visit of Worcestershire, amongst other things, of course. Alfie Gleadle to continue from the Bennett End bowls, full on to middle and leg, and stroked out into the leg side by Harry Dearden, but he can't get it past Hughes at mid-wicket. Brushes himself down. Alex Hughes. Single saving field, with the exception, of course, of a third man and deep backward square. They're the 2 men out. Derbyshire looking to get through this power play without too much damage. Well, they've inflicted some damage of their own already. They've dismissed the Leicestershire captain Paul Horton for just 5. Gleadle in again to Dearden, who waits for it and just rocks back, guides it nicely down to third man, and jogs the single. Sam Connors down here below us, in front of the pavilion at third man. Derbyshire's T20 kit this year, sort of, it's not sky blue, is it? Does it have an official name?
Who are the light blues in the varsity match? I'm never sure. Is that Oxford or Cambridge?
No, it's Cambridge, because they're hoops, aren't they? Light blue hoops.
Well,
that's Cambridge.
It's Cambridge blue, apparently.
In goes Gleadle, beautifully driven by Mark Cosgrove, but equally good fielding out there at mid-off by Billy Godleman, who stretched right away to his right. It looked for quite a long time as though the ball was going to beat him, but he had a bit of room. He was right on the edge of the circle. He gave himself the room. He got across and he made the stop and saved 3 runs for sure. The skipper.
That's twice he's dived in the last 2 matches.
Gleadle in again to Dearden. He's going to pick up runs there as he whips it away through mid-wicket, or out towards deep mid-wicket. The fielder moves across from deep backward square. Didn't quite time it as well as he would have liked. He used to be known, Harry Dearden, as Mini Cos, because he was obviously sort of relatively not small, but he's not as tall as some of the other players, left-hander like Cosgrove, but he's shed quite a lot of weight, because he hasn't really. In goes Gleadle and bowls to Cosgrove, who upon his toes wristily turns it out towards mid-wicket. Hughes jogs to his left, knowing there was always going to be a single in it. Picks up and returns to Hussain, but Cosgrove leans on his bat, having picked up a single.
I'm clearly in no position to comment on that, so...
Well, it's objective. He has shed quite a few pounds, Harry Dearden, over the winter. He does look very fit, and the effect is also to make him look taller, funnily enough. In goes Gleadle on bowls, and Dearden drives pleasantly, but right back on the edge of the circle, forming the long barrier. Billy Godleman picks up and returns to Hussain. End of the over. 4 from it, 31 for 1 after 6 Leicestershire.
Cosgrove 6'6", of course.
Imagine what he'd look like if he was sort of 12 stone. He'd look like about 7'3", wouldn't he?
He would look well, certainly. Wayne Madsen's going to continue, which is interesting. I think he bowled, from memory, 4 or 5 overs, 4 overs possibly, straight up at the start of the game against Nottinghamshire, when Derbyshire got a slightly below par sub 300 score, and Billy Godleman thought they were 220 light. I thought they were closer to 50 light, really. As Madsen comes in and bowls, and back into his crease goes Cosgrove, punches it out into the offside, deploy, does the fielding.
3 overs, 1 for 14 is pretty decent.
Oh no, you
to
take
start
that,
with,
yeah, absolutely, take that. Madsen's around the wicket to Cosgrove again. This one's on the leg stump for 4 runs. It just helped on its way. Now whether it was off the bat, it was of Cosgrove, so he picks up 4 runs, fielded down there by David Griffin. did well to bend down that far. Pick the ball up with his left hand, return it to Alfie Gledel, and Leicestershire move on to 35 for 1. Cosgrove 11. Dearden has 17. Cosgrove on strike, and he just leads this next delivery from Wayne Madsen outside the off stump, allows it to go through to Hussain, standing up of course to the spinner. Madsen smiling out there as ever. He's in again, bowls. Oh, and he makes a terrible mess of that, Cosgrove. He looked to play it to the leg side, he played it straight into the ground and it bounced back towards the stumps. It missed them. Got himself in a bit of a tangle there. Mark Cosgrove. It's just almost like a batter in baseball. He just takes a little time out there as he steps away from the plate. Now he's ready as Madsen comes in and bowls a quicker darting delivery, and he pushes it out into the onside. Matt Critchley is the man who does the fielding.
So nearly had his man there.
This time Cosgrove pushes it into the offside, and there's no run. He contents himself with the one boundary off the over. Mark Cosgrove, who has 11, Dearden has 17 at Leicestershire, who were put into bat when they lost the toss. 35 for 1 after 7 overs. 1 for 18 off 4 for Wayne Madsen, and now the big discussion is going on between Madsen, Hughes, Godleman and Harvey Hussain. So we'll see whether that means a change in the bowling. I fancy it might.
In the opening 10 overs, 4 for 18 is great, really.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So burgled, really.
Sam Connors is coming on for his first bowl in List A cricket. He's quicker than Alfie, quite a slippery pace, but he has like a lot of quick bowlers, that they like to show their muscle, don't they? He doesn't want to be banging too many in short on this pitch, I wouldn't have thought, otherwise it could get a little bit messy.
In he comes from the Bennett end and bowls to Dearden, who drives in the air, but he's got it through in front of point, and he's going to pick up 4. You heard the big shout of catch it, well, sort of a shout of catch it, because it was in the air for a long time, and it was in the air as it went past point, but it was a good few feet in front of him. Tom Lace, who just turned, actually jogged after the ball. So Dearden, he's going for his shots, he's getting away with it at the moment. He has got a slip in. Connors at Godleman's behest, perhaps, or vice versa. Madsen's in there at first slip, and you can understand why, seeing Dearden go for his drives like that. In goes Connors and bowls, and turned off middle and leg by Harry Dearden, straight to Hughes at mid-wicket, and there's no run. 39 for 1, 7.2 overs. Dearden run a ball pretty much 21. Cosgrove likewise, 11 off 12.
I've just seen Billy Godleman signal to Mark Watt, whose slow left arm he did bowl in the power play yesterday with Scotland International.
Connor is in, straight delivery, forced back down the pitch by Harry Dearden. Nice high right elbow.
And you know how they're always telling us how they play too much cricket. These cricketers play too much cricket, far too much cricket. Well, Connors played yesterday in the second 11 trophy against Lancashire. 3 for 55 with the ball and 51 off 43 with the bat in a 2-wicket win. So,
at Derby?
It wasn't at Derby, it was in Derby.
Home game, okay,
yeah. Home game.
Wasn't a big amount of travelling for him, but even so, yeah, point taken. In he comes. Bowls to Dearden, who turns it down to fine leg for 4. Just strayed onto leg stump, and Harry Dearden, as I say, is in decent touch at the moment. And he never really looked like missing out on that one. Whipped it away, down to fine leg, picks up 4. Be a change in the field as a consequence, I suspect. Wayne Madsen goes out. Strengthens the offside in front of the bat. He's going to sort of deep gully, really. Position on the edge of the circle. Connors in, bowls, that's a better straighter delivery, driven firmly by Harry Dearden up towards Billy Godleman, who sort of whiff of panic about as he got into the position to stop it there. Billy Gottleman, and it smacked into his right knee. Oh, it's coming my way quite quickly as well. But he got there. Made the stop. Prevented any runs. 43 for 1. Dearden 25. Waits. Connors in again and bowls to him. That's a better delivery that Dearden has to cover up to. Plays it firmly again with that nice high right elbow. Looking in really positive mood this morning, Harry Dearden. Dot ball to finish the over. 2 dot balls to finish the over, in fact, from Sam Connors. None for 8 from his first. But you probably tell already from the pitch that it's a restricting sort of performance with the ball is what's required from the bowlers. 300 and what did they get? Leicestershire 377 for 4 on this pitch against a very good Worcestershire side, and Worcestershire weren't that far off getting them.
They rather cunningly left the 377 on the scoreboard the way to our left-hand side, so all the Derbyshire players arrived and saw 377. Must have thought, oh yeah, I remember. But, we are going to see Mark Watt. Rather disappointingly, isn't wearing 50. 50 Watt would have been better than 51 Watt, wouldn't it? But he's wearing 51 on his back. 3rd game. He's played in the previous 2 matches yet to take a wicket. We haven't seen him bat yet. Played a lot of international white ball cricket for Scotland. We don't play much international.
Does he have some sort of electricity related nickname? Some clever.
He should do. Oh. What begins the over from the pavilion end, bowling to Cosgrove, who just pushes it out into the offside, fielded there by Madsen. He's not happy with his footmarks for some reason. He's only coming in off about 5 paces. Around the wicket, bowls to Cosgrove, turn into the leg side, the vacant leg side, and they're going to come back for a second, comfortably enough in the end. Cosgrove was the man running to the danger end, and they got back nice and comfortably. 2 more to him. 13 to Cosgrove, 45 for 1.
Little update coming for BBC Radio Leicester, so I'll really nip in ahead of Fletcher's. Mid-on drops back to long on. Alex Hughes, mid-wicket's gone quite deep, as well as what continues round the wicket. Gives it a little bit of air, clipped out into that vacant mid-wicket area. It does rather give Cosgrove the single that field. Off the ropes comes Tom Lace. Well, not off the ropes, he's about 10 yards inside the ropes. Here comes the update. And they are 47 for 1 now. Leicestershire having been put into bat by Derbyshire on the same pitch as on which Leicestershire hit 377 for 4 against Worcestershire on Sunday. So a lot of runs potentially in the pitch. They did lose an early wicket, that of the captain Paul Horton, caught behind by Harvey Hussain off the bowling of Wayne Madsen for 5. But Harry Dearden looks to be in the same sort of form that saw him score 92 against Worcestershire. He's 26 not out. Mark Cosgrove looks determined to make the most of this good pitch. He's on 15, and the Foxes recovering quite nicely. They're 48 for 1 after 8.5 overs. And what goes in to finish the over gives it some air. Dearden clips him away down towards long on, and jogs the single. End of the over, 49 for 1. I'm not sure about that field really. Just
at the
end. It's with the 2 left-handers going round the wicket.
Giving runs away. Sure they'll spot it eventually.
6 off the over anyway for Watt. No obvious turn for him. I'd be surprised if there was.
Yeah.
Leicestershire have picked for the first time this season former Derbyshire left arm spinner Callum Parkinson.
Yeah, it was good to see him out there. He's a character, isn't he?
Lovely bloke.
He's an absolute character. Thanks to Andy, who's said it was Ticknell where the seconds were playing yesterday. I should have known that off the top of my head, but thanks, Andy. Not that I'm an avid follower of the second team, but I like to keep abreast of what's happening. Sam Connors in and bowls to Dearden, who crashes him away for 4 runs. Beautiful shot. Crashed out to the long off boundary, wide long off boundary. Just threw everything at it, really.
He was nowhere near the pitch of it, was he? But he was right on top of the bounce, nonetheless. And he's
Billy Gottleman's conserving energy. Look,
oozing confidence at the moment, Dearden.
I know the ignominy of the skipper having to go underneath the covers to retrieve the ball. Nobody wants to see that, especially Billy, who's he's out now. It took him a while. Bless him. 53 for one. Dearden's gone on to 31 from 27.
Does he hurry about doing anything?
No, not
really, Billy.
No.
Jogging gently back.
He's so softly spoken that you've almost got to ram a microphone within an inch of his mouth to get anything on the post-match interviews. But he's a nice bloke. He's a good bloke. He's always fronted up when he's had to front up, which sort of makes me think, well, in that case I'll speak to him when they've done well as well. He's having a conversation here with it's Michael Goff, I think, at the far end, isn't it?
It is. I can't imagine the ball as...
It can't have got damp because there's been no rain for days and days and days.
Dew around. I don't know. I don't think there is really. So
No.
there's been a sort of little bit of mist around, but Michael Goff and Billy Godwin
It's a long,
deep in conversation.
long conversation. I'm not even sure that Billy Godwin let go of the ball at any stage there. But anyway, whatever that was, it's been resolved to the satisfaction of, well, you'd have thought the umpire, certainly. As Connors sets off again, and this time Dearden crashes him out into the covers where it's fielded on the bounce by Tom Lace, and there's no run. The half century came up, of course, for that last stroke. I beg your pardon for not making more of it. There's barely a ripple of applause. 53 for one. Although the scoreboard away to our left does say 52 for one. Oh, it is 53.
It's 53, yeah.
I will never criticise a scoreboard, just in case anybody comes to Derby. As this next delivery from Connors is whipped away into the leg side by Dearden. Lewis Rees is out there in the far distance and in front of the Leicestershire flag. Ball is thrown back in. They go through for a single.
Morning to Brunty, who's not here yet because he's reinstalling a vandalised bollard, but he hopes to be down later.
Yeah.
He works for Sustrans, I think it is, you know, the cycle network,
right.
people, National Cycle Network.
Somebody will have backed into it. This next delivery from Connors is driven by Cosgrove up to mid-on, where it's fielded by Critchley. I thought I'd say I'm quite glad to see Cosgrove on strike, because Dearden looks in very nice touch indeed, with 32 from 29. Not that Cosgrove with 15 from 17 looks out of touch. Seen him destroy Derbyshire a few times in my time here as Connors bowls to him and he just dabs it down. Now he's trying to turn that into the leg side and it's got a bit of a leading edge on it. Into the ground though, and Connors fields in his follow through. And there is no run.
Harvey Hussain liked that one. Claps. It encourages Connors. He might need it on this sort of track. Bit of sun, bit of blue sky above her now.
It was just starting to break up the cloud when we were out in the middle for the toss, but then it clouded over again. It's quite a pleasant day, isn't it? As Connors is in and bowls, and Cosgrove turns that into the leg side for a single. Again down to Lewis Rees at the backward square leg. He moves on to 16 and pinches the strike. Dearden's got 32 and Leicestershire 54 for one after 10 overs. So the first section of the match has come to an end. I hesitate to call it a power play because that's not what they are anymore. Northamptonshire clearly looking for an early finish at 26 for 3 against Lancashire at Old Trafford in the 8th over.
Well,
Durham 38 for 2 against Worcestershire down at New Road in the 10th. There were 2 games in the Northern Group today.
Leicestershire had Yorkshire 17 for 3 and they went and got about 800. It felt like in the end.
Some of these, the really top sides seem to bat forever, don't they? One batsman goes and another one comes in, and Nottinghamshire was like that on Sunday. It was awful, really. You think, oh, we broken through the top 5. Here comes Mullany.
Mark Watt then over the wicket to Cosgrove bowls, and Cosgrove turns his wrists on it towards backward square, and An athletic piece of fielding out there by Alfie Gleadle. He picked it up to his right and sort of flung as he fell, and it went halfway down the pitch essentially, but he got his throw away. That was the main thing. Watt in again to Dearden, who clips it firmly but straight back to the Scotland international, picks it up and turns, marches back to his mark, 56 for 1. And he goes again, gives it some more air, and he gets to it on the full this time. Harry Dearden drives it back past him, but Watt half makes a stop, tumbling to his right, slows it down sufficiently, and Godalming completes the fielding. So another dot ball for the big left-hander. He'll be pleased about that. And he goes again, just walks into a couple of strides and then delivers, and waiting for it a little bit, Dearden, weight going forward, just pushes it in the air through mid-on down towards long on. Obviously we're out of the first 10, so a little bit more cover for Watt now. He's got a long on out, mid-wicket, extra cover, and deep backwards square. 3 men on the leg side then as he goes in and bowls, and Cosgrove, big stride forward, then he's waiting for it rather. The ball hits back rather than vice versa. Just drops out into the leg side. There's no run again. 57 for 1 remains the score. Watt in again. Forward goes Cosgrove back to the left arm spinner. Dot ball results. Pretty good over that one from Mark Watt.
Yeah, it was okay.
57 for 1 at the end of it. The 11th. So just the 3 runs from it.
Keep your eye on him though, because occasionally he bowls off about 24, 25 yards to try and catch the batsman out.
Literally, he sort of delivers from behind the umpire.
From behind the umpire, yeah, which...
not a 24, 25 yard run. He doesn't start and charge in.
It would take him a while, I think, to get the full 24 yard run in.
He's a biggish fella.
He's a unit, yeah, he is. He's a big lad. Very excited about joining the county, a county for the first time, having played most of his cricket with Scotland and up in Scotland. Sam Connors to continue. It's his third over, 2 overs for 14 so far, as Connors is in and bowls to Dearden, who pushes this out into the offside. It's fielded there by Duploy. I'm really looking forward to seeing Duploy bat in the Championship. He looks like he's got lots and lots of runs in him. Looks a really good player. He's got some fantastic figures, but all in South Africa, of course, which means he's got to learn the pitches over here. But
pitches have been good so far, haven't they?
Just
some super well, and some not super.
This next delivery, it was a wild swing at that one from Dearden. It goes past the outside edge and through to Harvey Hussain. Hands on head for Connors. That was probably the first rash shot that Dearden's played, I would have thought. 57 for 1.
Kept in control of his aggression so far, but as you say, that was a little bit wild.
I wouldn't say the pitch at Bristol was particularly sporting. And in fact, they played on the same pitch against Surrey and managed to bowl them out for 88 or something like that 2 days later in the one-day cup. Dearden waits and Connors bowls. He drives it nicely down the ground, and round comes Billy Godalming to do the fielding. Pick up another single.
Morning, Lily. She's listening as a Yorkshire fan, so she doesn't really mind who wins. Well, listening as a neutral.
About the same.
As a Lancashire, yeah.
I know who I want to win when Derbyshire play Yorkshire on Friday now. Here's Connors again in bowls to Cosgrove, and clips this down towards fine leg. Watt will get around to do the fielding. Just pick up another single. 59 for 1. Cosgrove moves on to 18 from 23 balls. Dearden has 34 from 35. No, it'd be really nice from a Radio Derby perspective to see Derbyshire win this one, but just quite like to get through to the end of the game really today, because it's got that muggy feel to it. It's not oppressively hot, but it's just got that muggy feel to it. There's this next one who's down the leg side from Connors, a bit wide. Extra effort into that one, banged it in halfway down, but unfortunately it was misdirected. Hussain moved across to his right to take it.
He's only just 20, isn't he? Is that right?
Is Connors 20? I thought he was...
February the 13th, 1999. So that makes him 20 then, doesn't it?
Does it?
2019. Past that date, yes.
Yes. I'm not very good at maths. I did maths on the radio in one game earlier this season. I'm never doing it again.
Just 20.
He bowls and that strikes the pad. Dearden going for quite an expansive looking shot.
His hero sounds to be Ben Stokes.
So I'm slightly disappointed it's not me.
He doesn't know you well enough yet.
No.
If you hit the ball out of the ground, he says you should get 10 runs.
Out of the ground.
Out of the ground. Well, that depends on the ground, though, then, doesn't it, Sam?
Well, you could do it to the leg side, to the left-hander here, because it's a shorter boundary. As Connors bowls, and this one is clipped into the leg side. Around goes Lewis Rees. They've run one. They're going to come back for a second and take on the Rees throw, but it's very comfortable in the end. It might be a shorter boundary, but it's still quite a long way out there. And two more to the total 62 for one. After 12 overs, Dearden has 36 and Cosgrove has 18.
Forecast suggesting we're going to be alright for the first half of the day, as in through to the end of the Leicestershire innings. Potentially thereafter it becomes a little bit dodgy, or luck will be a factor.
I think the main thing here at Grace Road is we get through to lunch.
Mark Watt over the wicket to Mark Cosgrove. Cosgrove forward, presenting a firm straight bat as he pushes it out through mid-on, down towards Duploy. It's almost impossible to say that other than in a South African accent, isn't it?
Yes.
Ploy. P-L-O-O-Y. Watt in again, gives it some air, it did, and clips it hard straight to Billy Godleman, and he's given it away. Mark Watt well bowled. He held his nerve, and Dearden just lost patience a little bit. A couple of steps down the wicket, was playing so well, but he's hit that one straight to Billy Godleman, chest high, and the Derbyshire skipper hung on.
Poor shot really, wasn't it, in the end, but Godleman didn't even have to move to take the catch. It's a couple of bonus wickets for Derbyshire. Two spinners. A pitch that isn't turning so as you could tell, and they will be more than happy with the way things have gone so far, with 63 for 2, and be equally pleased to see the back of Harry Dearden. He was batting nicely there to get to 36, and he'll be hugely disappointed he hasn't gone on to at least a half century, if not more.
He will. Good pitch, and when you're in good form, a lot of overs left in the game, you'll rather feel he's given it away, rather, and he has. 63 for 2.
Familiar figure in a Leicestershire top, leaving the field. Will Davies, who isn't playing today, another former Derbyshire player, but we'll see Tom Taylor, of course, who has started his Leicestershire season really well. He was troubled by injury last season, wasn't he? But
yes, he only played the one championship game.
The last time I saw him, he had a boot on of some description, but he started this season really nicely. I'm pleased to see he's a nice kid. His brother is in the Derbyshire ranks still and played in the student game, James.
And he went to watch him yesterday.
Oh, did he?
Yes. He was going to come on the cricket show, but they said, "Oh, I've got to go and watch my..." Well, he said, "I'm going to go and watch my brother." He didn't say I had to. He wanted to.
He was at Ticknell as well.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So Dearden's 36 came off 39 balls, included 5 fours. Just as he was really beginning to motor, giving it a little bit away. So Colin Ackerman, 152 not out against Worcestershire, facing his first ball from Mark Watt, who tosses it up, going round the wicket on off stump, and Ackerman forward carefully, pushing it firmly out to Wayne Madsen, his compatriot, at a shortish extra cover position. Watt in again, brings Ackerman forward, just held it back a bit. Nice bowling from the left armour. 1 for 9 from 2.3 overs. Good start for him. 51 on his back, in he goes. Bowls Ackerman forward again. Good line and length. Out to Madsen. No run. Just will drag the scoring rate back a little bit, that wicket. Watt in again. Rather cross-batted drive there by Ackerman. inside out sort of thing, wristily, and Madsen, who dived to his left, dived onto a mat covering one of the pitches and rather hurt his right shoulder as he went down there. He's just holding it a little bit ruefully. I think he's okay, but I mean, obviously there hasn't been too much rain and the pitches are hard, and the mat having been there won't have helped. 64 for 2 after 13.
Yeah, he's still holding it like a sort of collarbone area. That's not necessarily a good thing.
Just jarred it me as he went down there. But it is his bowling arm, so hopefully he's alright. He's anybody who listens, he's explaining what he did.
And everybody's just looking away. As sportsmen tend to do. Injured, alright. He got hit when he was batting. He was lying on his back with his legs in the air, and he got hit that very painful place. Earlier this season that was very amusing as well. Here's Connors to continue from the Bennett end. Oh, and Ackerman just trying to guide that down the third man. There's a slip in place. It went through to Harvey Hussain. It'll be a third man as well. Mark Watt will be down there away to our right hand side. He is. Levels at long leg. Tom Lace out on the mid wicket boundary tall. He's about 10-15 yards in from it. On the sweeper on the offside is Lewis Rees. They're the men outside the circle as Connors comes in again and bowls. It will be Rees who's called into action as Ackerman plays that off the back foot out into the offside for a single. Moves on to 265 for 2 now, Leicestershire.
Remarkably, Ackerman's century against Worcestershire was his first in List A cricket in, I think, his 78th game. For such a prolific player against the red ball, nobody could quite believe it when we all suddenly realised it was a maiden List A century. Made it a big one.
It's just 98 away from a second. Connors comes in, bowls to Cosgrove, who whips this around to long leg for a single. What does the fielding? 66 for 2. Billy Godalming has got a century against Nottinghamshire. It took him a while, but he got one. It was a much better innings to watch than the one that the 80 odd that he got. Yeah, they come apart of the sight screens.
No, it's the hospitality box. There you go.
There we are.
Just above them.
I couldn't work out how a sight screen could actually move apart during the course of a day's play, but Ackerman waits as Connors bowls to me. Plays it into the ground, fielded one-handed in his follow-through by Connors. It's very hazy, isn't it? Look over to the trees away to our left-hand side, and you can't, even into the distance, you can't. There's no real definition to a lot of them.
It's a bit heavier now, I think, the cloud. It's just going to be one of those days. We'll let you know if it starts to rain.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Connors bowls. Ackerman goes for a big swing, trying to pull the ball into the leg side. It goes underneath his bat, I think, and through to Hussain for a dot ball. 2 men out. Horton for 5 and Dearden for 36. Both of them, in all probability, entirely preventable from a batting point of view. Derbyshire on the toss decided to have a bowl first, which is the first time they will have bowled first at any stage this season in any competition. Connors in and bowls. That's a good short ball. Goes past the nose of Ackerman. He just leans back and gets out of the way of it. That was a better over from Sam Connors. 4 overs for 21 runs now, 66 for 2 at the end of it. We've had 14. Ackerman has 2. Cosgrove has 20. I think the decision was clearly down to Douglas Lewis and the prospect of some weather.
Perfectly legitimate on that basis, I would think, as well, from Billy Godalming. Well, it's a bit of a gamble.
It was a terrific toss, though, because Paul Horton tossed the coin in the air and it went about 15 yards down the pitch. So somebody had to go scampering after it to see whether it was heads or tails. Didn't know his own strength. Another long chat here. The Brains Trust, Godalming, Madsen, Watt, the bowler is...
Is Watt still just white ball, or is he...
yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously when Scotland are playing, which they are at the end of the month, there is one of the World Cup sides are touring up there. Disappear.
Over the wicket he goes to Mark Cosgrove. Drops it fraction short, but Cosgrove back on his stumps, can't force it past Madsen. The ever lively Madsen at mid-wicket makes a stop, jogs across to his right. Watt in again, forward. On off stump goes Cosgrove, respectfully pushing the ball back down the pitch, picked up by the Scotsman. He's a big fella too. Sleeveless Derbyshire sweater on. In he goes and bowls, drops a little bit short, and Cosgrove back on his stumps can turn it this time past Madsen, well past, out towards mid-wicket and jog a single. 66 for 2, Cosgrove at 67 for 2. Scoreboard a little slower on that occasion. Cosgrove on to 21. He's just slowed up a little bit. Watt back round the wicket to the right-handed Ackerman, who clips it in the air, and it's gone for 6. Well, for a second I thought that was going to be a catch for long off, but actually got an awful lot more of that than I suspected. It looked like he'd sort of chipped it up into the air. It did, but he chipped it into the air about 80 yards, and it thudded into the sight screens. But I don't know, for a second I thought
I thought for a second that he might not have got enough of it, but he got plenty.
He did. Watt in again to the South African, who's forward, this time getting on top of the bounce, square driving without too much force out towards the extra cover boundary. In from the ropes comes Tom Lace, and Ackerman jogs a single. Watt back over the wicket to Cosgrove, a little bit flatter and a little bit shorter onto leg stump. Cosgrove waits for it, turns it behind the corner, out towards deep backwards square, jogs a single, and that's the end of the over. Watt, that's 6 apart. I don't know whether he'll be berating himself or not, really. He did use his feet quite nicely, Ackerman, but he didn't half go high into the air, and it wasn't so very far away from being in the purview of long off. It was just far enough, however. 75 for 2 then, after 15 Leicestershire, so their run rate exactly 5.
Been spotted that it was Leas Deploy who was filling it long off. He's not the tallest. I doubt it somehow. Connors is in and bowls, and Cosgrove punches it off the back foot down the ground, straight back down the ground. They're going to get a single for it though, because Billy Godleman comes around from mid-off to do the fielding. 23 to Cosgrove now, 76 for 2. Late arrival Deploy didn't play in the championship match because he was, even though he'd already indicated to the club that he was coming and he signed a Colpack agreement, he was still playing first class cricket and one-day cricket in South Africa. Connors bowls, this one is pushed down the ground by Ackerman. There's no run. Big decision, isn't it, when you're 24 years of age, I think, to say, right, well, because I think he played in emerging South Africa, if there is such a team. So he's obviously on the radar. Not quite as high profile a Colpack signing as Duan Olivier, of course, but this next one from Connors is pushed it to the offside. Nice piece of fielding from Alex Hughes, Ackerman, the batsman. The Olivier one is a little worrying. We'll see him on Friday from a Derbyshire perspective. Be good to say hello to him again. He did really well for Derbyshire in the first half of last season. Fine bowler with a test career ahead of him, you would have thought, but no more. 76 for 2 Leicestershire as Connors in again from the Bennett end, and then he's guided down to third man. What? Oh, lets it through his legs for 4 runs, and he kicks the ground, and well he might. So Connors won't thank him for it. It was a poor piece of fielding, really. He didn't have an awful lot of ground to make up to his right, and he just basically went straight through his legs after he got a little touch on it with his hands. And some bonus runs for Leicestershire and for Ackerman in particular. 76 for 2.
It is very quick, the outfield, but it isn't particularly uneven, so
No, it was
It
just
was
a
travelling quite cleanly, wasn't it? Just quickly.
genuine error. 80 for 2 it is not. They hadn't added those 4 on. 13 to Ackerman, who's on strike now and leaves that one alone. Connors goes through to Hussain. Dive over a couple in the Nottinghamshire innings on Sunday as well. Watt is a big man to get down quickly. He was fielding on the edge of the circle and couldn't quite get round in time a couple of times. You just can't hide in any form of cricket anymore, really, as a fielder. As Connors bowls to Ackerman, turns this into the leg side. Deploy will do the fielding.
Do you know what he does, as in his job? I'm assuming he's an amateur.
No, they get paid quite nicely, the Scotland boys.
Do they?
Well,
And so he's full-time?
Full-time, yeah, it's remarkable, really. 80 for 2 after 16 overs. Ackerman's got 13, Cosgrove has 23. I shall return in a moment as Lewis Rees comes on to bowl.
Billy Godalming taking time to set a field for Rees, the left armer. He's got a fetchingly Cambridge blue sort of sleeve on his right arm. Lewis Rees, that matches his Cambridge blue. I think it's a bit darker than a Cambridge blue, to be quite honest. But we'll take their word for it. Derbyshire. It's also got a sort of thin yellow diagonal sort of pinstripe across it. The top this year, Leicestershire, Derbyshire listeners, in their sort of fairly customary now RL50 kit, which is a red top with black trousers. This year the trousers have got a sort of red and white stripe down the sides. Rees then into Cosgrove outside off stump, standing up to the wicket. Harvey Hussain. There's a little bit of swing away from the left-hander. Cosgrove leans forward, guides it out through the covers, out to the man on the cover boundary, or coming in off the cover boundary. Jogs a single. He moves on to 24, 81 for 2. Rees is going to go round the wicket to the right-handed Ackerman, which is going to necessitate field changes, and the man at short fine does indeed go back to long leg. Could take a while, these 50 overs, if we're going to get a lot of field changes. Left to right hand combination as Rees is ready to go. Now in he goes. Bowls. Ackerman gets a slower ball, drifting onto leg stump, which he turns out into the leg side. He takes the first run quite quickly, but the ball travelled a little bit too quickly as well, as far as he was concerned, which meant the fielder could get to it before any chance of a second run. 14 off 17 to Ackerman, 82 for 2. Back over the wicket goes Rees. In he goes. Bowls very slow, thick inside edge from Cosgrove down into the ground. It bounces towards square leg for a moment. Cosgrove not too sure where it had gone, then turns as though there might be a single in it, but no real chance. Mark Watt it is at short fine, got to the ball reasonably quickly on that occasion. Hussain obviously standing up to Rees, who did his fairly gentle medium pace. Despite the run, in he goes and bowls, and Cosgrove leans forward and steers it out to Godalming at mid-off. There's no run. Update coming from BBC Radio Leicester. Well, having taken a wicket quite early, they had the captain Paul Horton, who was caught behind off the bowling of Wayne Mads. In fact, they've just taken a third wicket as well, and a big one it is as well. It's Mark Cosgrove, who was going nicely on 24. Well, he's just clipped Lewis Rees, the left armer, straight to mid-wicket, and another batsman has got in for the Foxes and got out again. The other man to do that was Harry Dearden, who went on to 36 off 39 balls before driving in the air at the left arm spin of Mark Watt and was caught by Billy Godalming. at mid-off. So the Foxes, with a little bit of work to do here, they're 82 for 3 now. Colin Ackerman is still there. He is 14 not out. He scored 150 without getting out against Worcestershire on Sunday. May have to do something similar here. The Foxes, 82 for 3. Back with you on commentary, and as you heard me say, Mark Cosgrove on 24s, he's just given it away rather as well. He's wandering off in disbelief now and whacking the air. Lewis Hill has to avoid the swinging bat there of Cosgrove. Clipped it in the air and diving forward. Mid-wicket, I think it was Madison, got his hands underneath the ball, and that's a serious bonus as far as Derbyshire are concerned. Cosgrove looked determined to make the most of these excellent conditions, relatively good conditions in terms of the flat pitch. Well, unfortunately from Leicestershire's point of view, he's missed out. He's gone for 24. The Foxes are 82 for 3 now, after 16.5 overs. But they'll console themselves with the thought that the two top scorers from the innings against Worcestershire are now at the wicket. Lewis Hill, who made a remarkable 100. A maiden list day century for Lewis. He went on to score 118. His 100 actually came off 54 balls, included 14 fours and 4 sixes. So he's got to play himself in and do something similar here. In goes Rees, bowls to Ackerman down the leg side, taken by Hussain. That will be signalled wide. It was Wayne Madsen, the catcher, at mid-wicket. And a real bonus as far as Derbyshire are concerned. I mean, if they can restrict Leicestershire to anything under 300 on this track, they'll be pretty pleased, the more so if rain becomes a factor. In goes Rees and bowls to Hill, who is forward on middle and off stumps, pushing it back to the left armour, who has bowled his first over and taken his first wicket. 1 for 3 from 1, and a huge wicket potentially for Derbyshire. That of Cosgrove established himself, just chipped it in the air. I've seen him get out a couple of times doing that this season as well, clipping it in the air to mid-wicket. 83 for 3 as Fletcher's back.
With new headphones that have made absolutely no difference. Excellent.
You still sound about as... It still sounds good to me.
I can hear myself. Well, that's very kind of you.
That's a start.
I can hear myself now, so... new over from Connors begins. Ackerman pushes it out into the offside. And there is no run. That was another bonus wicket, really, wasn't it?
Huge.
The one of Mark Cosgrove, and a big wicket, as you say. Derbyshire will be delighted to see the back of him. And as he only made 24 from 34 balls. Just the one boundary. It's a bizarre innings. Derbyshire happy with the first hour, I'm sure, as Connors bowls and Ackerman defends it up to mid-on, where Billy Godman does the fielding.
Well, these two added 200 for the 4th wicket against Worcestershire. Hill was outstanding. A really innovative century, all laps and slog sweeps and reverses and heaven knows what.
Ackerman on strike at the moment as Connors bowls to him and he pushes it out to the offside, and it's fielded there at point by Leas Deploy.
Different team, different day.
Anuj Dal's on the pitch at cover. Presumably, I think it's Alex Hughes who'll have gone off to put his bowling boots on. Alex Hughes. Your bowling boots and fielding boots. Good grief, I've only got one pair of shoes. Connors is in and bowls. Ooh, that's a very expansive looking shot from Ackerman that flies past the edge of his bat and through the wicketkeeper Harvey Hussain, who again raises his hands in applause. But again, not a good shot.
Didn't swing.
No.
Nowhere near the pitch of it.
Basically missed a straight one. 83 for 3 it remains. Tony Palladino and Alex Hughes standing on the boundary's edge. Hughes has got the bib on as this one is driven out into the offside. Lewis Rees is out there to do the fielding. Ackerman picks up another single, 84 for 3. And I can't tell if they're his bowling boots or not, but I'm sure that's exactly what they are. He picked up career best figures of 4 for 44 against Northants, didn't get a wicket against Notts. Nobody really looked like getting too many wickets apart from Alfie Gledhill, who picked up 3. Connors is in again and balls. That's edge just past Wayne Madsen at slip and races away for 4 runs. A genuine edge off the bat of Lewis Hill gets him off the mark. Madsen flung himself to his right hand side. Just inspecting his elbows, that wasn't far away at all.
Wasn't.
And the over comes to an end. He's a little unfortunate there, Sam Connors, to concede that boundary. 88 for 3, 4 to Hill, 15 to Ackerman, 18 gone.
He was unfortunate. He's impressed me. You look at the figures, 6 overs, none for 31, but he's bowled rather better than that. Sam Connors has a nice aggression about him.
Yeah.
He looks like a young fast bowler. The temperament is right. He bangs it in. And no luck at all there. Rees to continue to Ackerman, who stands up tall, defends that one back down the pitch to Lewis Rees, who's a really gentle medium pace stuff from him now, but
he's bowling a lot of slow balls as well.
Slow balls and
horrible.
But it's difficult to get away,
yeah.
and successful in the first over, picked up a very, very important wicket. In he goes round the wicket to Ackerman, just drifts onto leg stump. Ackerman turns it towards mid-wicket. Hughes, who gets himself in a little bit of a tangle as he gets down and gets his throw away, and he too hurt his right shoulder a little bit as he went down there on a used pitch, very hard out there. Well, it's a very used pitch because it's the one that the team uses to sort of warm up on before every game, essentially. Rees looks around him, little delay while Billy Godalming just adjusts his field for the new batsman Hill, who's on 4 off 2. In goes Rees and bowls back foot. Lewis Hill drives firmly, or forces firmly, but Wayne Madsen falling to his left. That short extra cover position makes a stop. Good chatter, good level of chatter out there from Derbyshire. Will be lifted by those 3 wickets. Keep chipping away, keep taking wickets, and you keep the scoring rate right down. In goes Rees. Bowls, back goes Hill and cuts firmly, but backward point dives across to his right to make the stop. Alfie Gledhill. No, I mustn't call him Gledhill. It's because there was somebody my first paper called Gledhill.
I think he is Gledhill.
Oh, okay.
As opposed to Gledhill.
Gledhill.
That's our information.
Okay. In goes Rees, bowls to Hill, a slower ball that Hill waits and waits for, and then just defends out into the onside.
Oh.
Hughes hurls the ball at the stumps.
And it didn't bounce so much, I had to get down sharpish there. That was
it didn't do it.
Why did he throw the ball?
Wayne Madsen any favours, because there's actually a gesture also from Peter Hartley there to him. What did you hear that for? Because he was back in his crease by a long way. The batsman. In goes Rees again, a slower ball driven, thick outside edge, a little bit reasonably close to Gledhill, and not close enough for him to dive to his right and attempt to make the stop. However, the fielder out on the point boundary has to run around towards deep third man, and a couple of runs are taken, so Hill moves on to 6. Leicestershire, having been pegged back, are 91 for 3 off now 19 overs. So the rate, understandably in the circumstances, has dropped to 4.8, the run rate, that is.
It's leg spin time. Matt Critchley is going to come on to bowl from the Bennett end, replacing Sam Connors. 6 overs for 31.
With the exception of Brett de Oliveira, Worcestershire never really took the pace or tried too hard to take the pace off the ball on Sunday, and I think it may be the right road to go down, certainly the way Rees has started, and
Well, Gledhill and Connors apart, Derbyshire don't have too many options other than to take the pace off, but without Ravi Rampal, who's come back looking sharper this season but has been ill for the last 2 matches, and Logan Van Beek, who can bowl swiftly away on family matters. So he tosses himself a catch, and again Matt Critchley, and he comes in and bowls a full toss, and that's clubbed away for 4 runs out to the mid-wicket boundary. That was a shocking delivery to begin with. And thank you very much. Ackerman was all over that one. First sound of the Vuvuzela, I think, today. That
It is.
you know where you are when you hear that, or who you're watching, certainly. I don't think there is another on the county circuit, which is a huge disappointment, of course. Ackerman moved on to 20, 95 for 3 with that boundary. And Critchley's in, and this one is slapped into the offside this time, and it's Rees is going to get around. That's a good piece of fielding by Rees. He gets the throw away quickly as well, but it doesn't prevent them from coming back for a second. It's nicely done by Lewis Rees out in the distance, but 2 more to Ackerman, who moves to 22, 6 off the over so far. Only 2 balls have been bowled. 97 for 3 in the 20th of the 50 overs. The Sun trying desperately to break through as Critchley bowls. This was turning to the leg side, and whether they spot it's Godalming or not, they decide they can scamper through for a quick single and move on to 98 for 3. Ackerman up to 23. Hill 6 at a run a ball in his still young innings. 4 of those that edge though down to find the 3rd man off Connors in the previous over from the Bennett end. Critchley bowls. That one is played out towards the cover boundary for a single. Rees does the fielding. It's not been the best start to a spell from Matt Critchley thus far. It takes the leggy a while just to get into it and warm up properly, land the ball correctly. That one's landed nicely, and this turned into the leg side by Ackerman. They go through for a single and decide against a second as Lacey's off the boundary really quickly there. Good piece of fielding from the youngster. And the 100 is up for Leicestershire in the 20th over. The first 10 overs yielded 55. Critchley's in again and bowls, and that's out into the offside by Hill for another single. The over comes to an end. Hill has 8, Ackerman has 24, and Leicestershire 101 for 3 after exactly 20 overs. A tad over 5 and over.
Yeah, I don't think Derbyshire will be too unhappy
No,
with
no.
the situation at the moment, that's for sure.
No, I agree.
If they can pick up another couple, 160 for 5, Leicestershire, although everybody can bat, they don't have any really destructive players to come. Dieter Klein would probably take issue with that, as Rees is in round the wicket, and a slow delivery on leg stump does rather sit up. But Hill is merciful. He just turns it off his hip down to wide long leg and jogs a single. Rees's sort of eyes went into the air. He was crossing himself almost before the batsman hit it there, but as I say, got away with it a little bit. Mid off goes to long off for Ackerman. Rees is in, bowls, and on middle and off stumps. He goes back, Ackerman. It doesn't really bounce very much as well. Doesn't swing though or seam. He can just play it off the pitch out into the offside. Dot ball, looks around him, just checks the field. Rees 1 for 7 from 2.2 overs. Super start from him. In he goes, bowls, and brings Ackerman forward on middle leg stumps, clipping across the line, but with reasonable certainty out to the fielder coming in off the mid-wicket boundary. So just the single. Ackerman into the 20s now. He's on to 24, 25. 103 for 3. Rees with 2 sort of short third men. In he goes and bowls 2. Hill hits him back over his head. 1-2 bounces for 4. Not much foot movement from Hill, but just stood and whacked it straight back over the bowler's head. No sea movement or swing, and that's going to happen every now and then in those circumstances, especially with no long on or indeed long off. There is now a long off back for Hill as well as for Ackerman. In goes Rees and bowls, and Hill drives past Madsen out towards deep extra cover. A bit of ground to make up from point for Tom Lace. He does make it up, gets his throwaway. Hill picks up a couple. He's in double figures now as well, on to 13, 109, on to 15, I beg your pardon, 109 for 3. The electronic scoreboard just a smidgen dilatory this morning. In goes Rees, bowls, Hill goes back, forces it past Madsen, out towards long off, who meets it on the edge of the circle, coming in, and a single this time is taken. Matt Critchley, the fielder, and Critchley of course continues on his way, because he's going to be bowling now from the Bennett end. There's been a sort of fluey thing around, fluey cough thing that most of us have had one way or another. We lost Chris Wright to it for a couple. He's back for this game, but I guess that's what Mr. Rampall is suffering from.
Yes, I'm not entirely certain, if I'm honest, but as far as I'm aware, it's not the issue that was troubling him towards the end of last season, which was a heart thing. This next over from Critchley begins with Hill attempting to cut the ball, missing it, and going through to Harvey Hussain. He's all sorted with the heart now. Ravi Rampall played first-class cricket out in the West Indies over the winter. As Critchley is in again and bowls, and he does cut this time, but straight to Lewis Duploy. A backward point, and there's no run. Sinuses, I've got it out on both sides this year. That's awful. Ooh, that one is driven by Hill, and that's a good piece of fielding out in the distance. That's Sam Connors out there sliding around the boundary to keep them down to a single. Hill moves on to 17, 111 for 3.
Did we predict on the cricket show last night that Derbyshire would choose to bat first?
Yes,
Clueless,
well I did.
Clueless is just listening to the show and says that I see Derbyshire did not choose to bat first.
No, first time this season. That's why I was predicting it, because it happened in every single game. Shows you what I know. Critchley bowls it down the pitch, and that's a beautiful shot from Ackerman. Got to the pitch of the ball and just punched it down the ground. Minimum of effort, really, and it raced away to the rope. I like the addition of the whistle, incidentally. 115 for 3, and I'm genuine in that. I do like the addition of the whistle. 29 to Ackerman.
I think it is preferable to the Vuvuzela.
Well, I can take it or leave it with the Vuvuzela. This next one from Critchley is turned into the leg side by Ackerman. They're going to go through for a single as a half, shy at the stumps. Actually, that's Connors, so I did it's Alex Hughes. I should have guessed by the walk of Kevin the Teenager in the far distance. It was Hughes who did that piece of fielding 3 balls ago now to prevent the boundary. Out at long off as this one is chopped down, and that's a good piece of fielding by Duploy. Diving away to his left-hand side at backward point.
Saves forward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to chase that one down if it had gone past him.
At the end of the over, 116 for 3. Hill has 17. Ackerman has 30. 22 overs gone. Derbyshire continuing. We still haven't seen Alex Hughes yet, which is probably good news, because it means he's got 10 overs up his sleeve should he be required, and it'll be a big ask with the 2 young bowlers, Gladwin only his 3rd list day game and Connors in his 1st.
It'll be Lewis Rees then from the pavilion end, bowls very straight to Colin Ackerman, waits for it on middle stump and forward press, pushes it back down the pitch to the left armour, and there's no run.
I predicted all sorts yesterday in the cricket show.
Rees in again, kicking up his heels, bowls, and just rolls his fingers across that one. And again, Forward goes Ackerman and then has to wait for it, and by the time it arrives he's been in position for probably what seems like minutes. Pushes it out into the offside this time. Again, there's no run. Good stuff from Lewis Rees, making the batsman put some pace on the ball. And he goes round the wicket outside off stump. He goes for the sort of, well, slashing drive on the offside. Didn't get anything on it. It went too low to Harvey Hussain, who didn't take it cleanly, and the obliging Ackerman picks it up and tosses it back to Lewis Rees.
Shouldn't pick it up.
No, I did that once.
Oh, did you? Oh dear.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't like it when batsmen help the fielders out.
In goes Rees, bowls. Back goes Ackerman, plays it down firmly into the ground over the head of Lewis Rees, who hopped into the air, realised it was above his head, and the concession of a single was unavoidable in the circumstances. And I was run out.
Were you? Run out?
Walk forward to pick it up. Particularly, yeah, it was a sort of nothing of an evening game in North Yorkshire as well.
North Yorkshire, I see.
Indeed. Rees in again, bowls, and it bounces and it just lobs into the air. Well, a little bit of bounce, whether he just again rolled his fingers across it, hit what seam there is on this white Kookaburra ball, and took the shoulder of the bat, lobbed towards sort of backward point. Fortunately for Lewis Hill, nobody was within running in distance to get to that one. He got away with one a little bit there. Pause for thought for Hill, who waits with bat raised as in goes Rees and bowls to him. He plays that one a little more confidently, pushes out into the offside, thinks about a second, but is sent back rightly by Ackerman because Tom Lace had got to the ball quickly coming in off the cover boundary. Hill has kept the strike as a consequence. 118 for 3. I'm just waiting in case the scoreboard changes. It doesn't. 118 for 3. Ackerman has 31 off 36 balls. He's down on one knee at the moment, just stretching a hamstring perhaps. Hill has 18 off 18. They came together when Mark Cosgrove chipped a catch off Rees to Wayne Madsen at mid-wicket and was dismissed for 24 when the score was on 82. So far these two have added 36 for the 4th wicket.
Tony Paladin is on 12th man duties down below us with the high-vis vest on as Critchley begins a new over from the Bennett end and is chopped away out towards the cover boundary by Hill, who moves on to 19, 119 for 3. Just seen Mal Loy go inside as well. Mal is in charge of the 50 over side. Dominic Cork will be here for the T20, of course. As in comes Critchley getting balls, although like a quicker delivery. It's turned into the leg side by Ackerman. There'll only be a single though as 3 fielders descend on the ball. Gledhill wins the race to it. 120 for 3. Dave Houghton is head of cricket and sort of in charge of all things. Omnipresent, omnipotent. Critchley throws himself a couple of catches and sets off in now, and there's a play and a miss. He tried to cut that away, did Hill. He's tried that a couple of times now, and it's gone past the edge of the bat.
Didn't miss off stump by very much. The feed, only an inch or two.
He waits again, and this time it's a fuller delivery, and it's clipped straight to Wayne Madsen, and he's gone. Well, what a tame, another, in all honesty, tame dismissal. He just chipped it straight to Wayne Madsen at cover, and Hill goes for 19. Absolutely bizarre. Leicestershire 120 for 4 now, and Derbyshire will be absolutely delighted with this.
Well, Hill, after his super century against Worcestershire, got himself in again, and he was looking busy, and he's given it away, I'm afraid. So very well hitting the ball in the air, but picking out the fielders at the moment, and they're in danger, Leicestershire, of not setting the sort of target that's likely to test Derbyshire on what is a, remember, very good track. Hill caught Madsen, bowled Rees, who's sitting at the moment.
Critchley.
I beg your pardon, on
Yeah.
Critchley.
Yeah.
Who's, well, he's sort of dragged it back a little bit, hasn't he? He just gave away a little bit early, a few runs early, but real bonus wickets these for Derbyshire. And and they'll be absolutely chuffed to bits. 120 for 4.
Well, Madsen's taken 2 catches, and if he's moved 6 inches combined to actually reach both of them, I'd be surprised that they've been hit straight to him. The one from Cosgrove off Rees, and that one Lewis Hill off Matt Critchley. It's been very strange. We were talking about this earlier in the season. It always amazes me the size of the field that cricketers play on, and the number of times that the ball goes straight to a fielder. It clearly can't be chance, but you do wonder sometimes when a batsman just clips the ball straight to a fielder. Here's Tom Taylor. We've been looking forward to this. I'm sure he has as well. Matt Critchley, but I don't know what he's thinking about facing the leg spin. He'll have faced it any number of times in nets, I'm sure, as Critchley bowls to Taylor, who defends this. Back down the pitch, and there's no run. A good batsman though, Tom Taylor. You've seen him score runs. I saw him score runs in the limited appearances that he made for Derbyshire, really. Critchley in again, and comes off an edge out and towards backward point where Duploy is waiting. It bounced a couple of yards in front of Duploy, but a good over there from Matt Critchley. Just a couple of runs off it and a wicket. 120 for 4 after 24 now. Ackerman on 32, and Taylor yet to get off the mark.
In this competition, he just got 12 at Headingley against Yorkshire, but 59 off 63 balls at Chesterley Street against Durham. He's also got championship runs this season. 33 in his single innings against Sussex, 23 and 57
well, the boy can
against
bat.
Worcestershire. He
High
can
score of
indeed.
72 in this competition.
Rees in bowls. That it's almost medium slow, isn't it? Really.
And he's bowling even slower than he normally bowls
Yeah.
today. He can be quite sharp, but he's just decided he's almost lobbing them down to the other end, and the batsmen are having to wait so long for the ball to arrive.
It's working at the moment. 4.1 overs, 1 for 17, and that was another dot ball as Rees is in again to Ackerman. That sort of rather hitting across the line, drive, an inside out drive, if that makes sense, into the offside with the bat at about 45 degrees. It's a slap rather than a drive, and for a technically correct batsman it always looks a little bit ugly to me when he plays that shot. Ackerman, in goes Rees again to him, and a little cutter. You can see him rolling his fingers across it. He went back, Ackerman, but could only defend it off stump back down the pitch. So opens his over with 3 dot balls, and a little bit of a squeeze on here by Derbyshire, and it's working. It frustrated Hill out, and Leicestershire 120 for 4. In goes Rees and bowls, and a little paddle around the corner, a little lap around the corner, off middle stump from Ackerman, but an indication, I think, really of his frustration, really. The bowler won't mind that at all. He got enough of it to get it down 2 wide long leg and picked up 1, but Leicestershire past the halfway point, just struggling to establish any momentum in the innings at the moment. 1-2-1 for 4. Each time a batsman gets in, they get themselves out. Rees in to Tom Taylor, who's forward on off stump, pushing it firmly, but can't get it past Madsen. Falls to his right and makes the stop. Tosses the ball back to Rees. Just a single from the over so far. 1 ball to go. Taylor stands quite tall at the crease as Rees goes in and bowls to him. He drives, but only as far as Madsen. So an excellent over from Lewis Rees. Didn't pick up a wicket in it, but he only conceded a single, which sometimes in these circumstances feels almost as good as. And it builds up that pressure a little bit more.
5
Updates coming almost.
5 overs, 1 for 18.
Very good stuff.
Lewis Rees. 3 overs, 1 for 18, Matt Critchley, and the runs have sort of dried up a little bit, haven't they? Which is good news for Derbyshire, so it means that Critchley can continue.
Let's pinch in and jump in and do this update. They've lost another wicket, I'm afraid, the Foxes. Lewis Hill made a really exciting 100 against Worcestershire. He got himself in, he got to 19 here against Derbyshire when he tried to drive a delivery from the leg spinner Matt Critchley. Didn't keep it down and gave Wayne Madsen a simple catch at extra cover. Made the score 120 4-4. A lot now depends on Colin Ackerman, 152, not out against Worcestershire, the South African, going well here as well. He's on to 34 now. Tom Taylor is with him. He's just got off the mark, former Derbyshire player, of course, but they're having to rebuild slightly. Ackerman can't really take too many more risks. The Foxes, 123 for 4, and they're into the 26th over of the innings.
Keeping everything crossed. Critchley balls there. Almost yorks himself there, Ackerman, moving down the pitch to get to the pitch of the balls. Can do nothing more than push it straight back to him. He was just trying to wind me up when he said it was Leicestershire against Derby as well, didn't he? As this next delivery from Critchley is pushed out into the offside. Commentator from Nottinghamshire kept saying Derby as well. Just an East Midlands thing, obviously. Critchley is in, balls, and this one is pushed back to the bowler by Ackerman. It's good stuff, this from Matt Critchley. After that first over, which was a little expensive, he's really found his range now. And he's in again and bowls. This one is clipped up to mid-on. Godalming will do the fielding. And they'll go through for a single. Godalming holds onto the ball. It's the end of the over. Ackerman moves on to 35. Taylor has 124 for 4 after 26.
Bronte has arrived at the ground now, but he said he came through some fairly heavy rain showers.
All right.
And they're heading in this direction, it seems. So he said, fingers crossed, they travel very slowly. They have to travel very slowly not to get here at all. Plenty of time left in the innings and in the day's cricket. But at the moment, Derbyshire have something of a stranglehold on this Leicestershire innings. Lewis Rees in to Ackerman. Very gentle delivery, but very accurate, and forward goes Ackerman, just pushing out into the offside. No run. 124 for 4 off 26. Well, Leicestershire will be still thinking in terms of 300, but it's looking an awful long way off at the moment. In goes Rees and bowls, and Ackerman with that cross-batted drive out into the vacant covers. It bounces and is met about 20 yards in from the ropes by Tom Lace coming in off the extra cover boundary. Ackerman picks up one. He's just swinging the bat in a slightly discontented way at the moment. He's leaning on it now, but feeling the squeeze of it. His 36 is off 47 balls now. Taylor 1 off 6 waits as Rees goes in and bowls to Taylor. He's going to be 2 off 7 as he drives past Madsen. Lace comes off the ropes. Single taken. Last few overs, last 5 overs, 14 for 1. Feels that way as well.
Yeah, it does.
Good stuff from Derbyshire. Got a little bit of control over the scoring rate as Rees is in again to Ackerman, who goes back and cuts. Good stop, or half stop at backward point, and saved a couple of runs there. I think Alfie Kleedle enabled Tom Lace to run around from sort of deep extra towards deep third man and make the stop. I think he would have beaten him had Kleedle not slowed it on its way.
No cap for Alfie.
Picked up a couple. In goes Rees again to Ackerman. Fuller this time, but driven straight along the ground to Wayne Madsen. And there's no run. Always involved, Madsen, in that shortish extra cover position. On the push, but also on the drive. 128 for 4. Rees in to finish his 6th over. In he goes, and doesn't know where he really is there. Colin Ackerman, as he drives and gets a thick inside edge, and he looks around wildly for a minute. He sees it's bounced out into the leg side. He's called to by Tom Taylor, but another excellent over from Lewis Rees. 6 overs, 1 for 23 now for the Derbyshire all-rounder. And the Foxes limping on, rather. 129 for 4. Ackerman has 39 off 51 balls. Taylor 2 off 6, and 27 overs have been bowled.
Such an asset. Lewis Rees was injured in this competition last season, broke a bone in his foot, had to have an operation, had it plated, only came back for the last 2 championship matches and sorely missed in the T20 as well as the remainder of the One Day Cup. When you've got an opening bat who can come on and bowl you some very, very more than useful overs. Really is a big asset. There's another one, Matt Critchley in and bowls. That was just defended back to him by Ackerman as an appeal. There's definitely some bat in it, so we're just hoping it might have hit the pad first. He was quite a way down the track though. Ackerman, 129 for 4. He's slowed down considerably, 39 from 52. Critchley bowls and he's swept, but straight to Alfie Gledel, the capless Gledel. 2 Derbyshire players now without caps. Lewis Rees has had a headgear, or did have headgear on for the opening 2 games of the Royal London, because he was fielding in front of the Players' Pavilion at Derby where the sun was shining, but he doesn't like wearing headgear. As Critchley is in and bowls, this one is squirted out into the offside by Taylor for a single. There is Lewis Rees. Getting David Griffin onto that one. The last time 2 capless fielders fielded successive balls on either side of the wicket. That should keep him going for a while. It's unusual these days. As Critchley is in and bowls, and Ackerman beats it out into the offside, just beyond the grasp of Wayne Madsen. He's going to get 4 runs for it as well, because once he gets past Madsen, the 2 other fielders out there in the deep on the offside. One is quite straight, Alex Hughes. The other one is quite square, Lewis Rees. And neither of them had the pace to get round and cut that one off. So a welcome boundary for Leicestershire, the first for a long time.
Just thinking exactly that.
There's none on my screen. That only goes back about 3.5. Now he's got a second in 2 balls as he drives this down the ground. Almost takes Taylor out at the far end. He did well to get out of the way of that one, Tom Taylor. It crashes into the boards and up and over and into the seats. And all of a sudden Ackerman's going again. He's up to 48, 139 for 4. Godwin might be thinking about another change at the Bennett end. It's the 5th over being bowled by Matt Critchley. He's in and bowls to Ackerman, who pushes this up to long off this time, and Alex Hughes comes in off the boundary to do the fielding. The over comes to an end. Ackerman keeps the strike. He moves on to 49. Taylor's got 3, 140 for 4. Now Leicestershire.
You heard the applause from the Leicestershire batting coach John Sadler and the head coach Paul Nixon. They love that, don't they? Batting coaches, and a single after a boundary.
Yes.
It's a professional way, and they keep the scoreboard just ticking. And 9 off 3 balls.
Mark Watts coming back.
I think it's a worthwhile gamble.
I think we'll almost certainly see a change at the fire. We haven't seen Alex Hughes yet. I'm just seeing if he's actually doing any vigorous warming up. I'm not sure Alex does much vigorously. Good afternoon to his mother-in-law if she's listening. Married over the winter, Alex Hughes. Another one goes.
Why are we greeting his mother-in-law as opposed to Mrs. Hughes?
I think Mrs. Hughes works. Alex's wife, but I know Alex's. Well, it was his fiancée. Then she was telling me at the
I'm with you.
awards night that she listens. She likes my description of him as Kevin the Teenager.
Mark Watt round the wicket, left arm to Colin Ackerman, and that's his 50. Just pushes it past Wayne Madsen at that extra cover position. Off the boundary comes Matt Critchley, and a single taken by Ackerman. His 50 has come off 57 balls.
5 4s and a 6.
In goes Watt and bowls to Taylor, who pushes it again past Madsen out to Critchley and takes the single. But he has a huge job still to do as far as Leicestershire are concerned, Ackerman, as Watt goes in and bowls to him and strains a bit little, that one.
That was the one from way behind the crease. Bowled a long way behind the crease there. Mark Watt.
And he goes again, bowls from the crease this time, pushed back past Madsen. No, Madsen just managed to get his right hand down to it. Keep the batsman in their crease, 142 for 4.
You don't see many bowlers do that, do you?
You don't. And he goes again and bowls. Back goes Ackerman, turns it firmly but straight to mid-wicket. It's picked up by Kevin the Teenager. odd chap. It's probably a cultural reference that might sort of predate him, really. Is he?
I think so, yeah, I think it probably does. But not his mother-in-law.
He's back at third man on the edge of the circle now as Watt goes in and bowls on off stump to Ackerman, who just pushes it back down the pitch on the offside, and the Scotsman gets across and makes a stop. Pretty good over. For the returning Watt, 4.5 overs, 5.0 overs now, 5 overs. 1 for 21 for him. Puts his sunglasses on the back of his head. There's the figures for Ackerman being read out by the Leicestershire PA man. 57 balls for his 50, 5 fours and a 6, 142 for 4 innings. Pretty much in the balance, but as I say, I do feel at the moment that Derbyshire will be by a margin the happier of the two sides.
I thought so. We're going to see Alex Hughes bowl for the first time in the innings. The 30th over. 142 for 2. Picked up career best figures of 4 for 44 against Northants. Bowled really nicely, wicket to wicket, and was rewarded handsomely. He's on his way in now from the Bennett end, bowls and is driven out into the offside. There's a good half stop there by Matt Critchley at backward point. He just checks his knee out.
Horrible position to have to dive in those footholds and dirt and hard and horrible.
Signal taken. Hughes is in again, and Ackerman pushes this down the ground this time. In comes Gledall to do the fielding off the boundary at long on. 44 for 4, 51 to Ackerman. Taylor's got 5. He's only faced 9 balls. Tom Taylor so far. Raises his bat, ready for the next delivery from Alex Hughes that turned nicely, but he didn't really get enough bat on it, and it's fielded there by Sam Connors. He goes through for a single. Connor didn't get any bat on it at all. It's a leg bite.
I mentioned Ross Whiteley's splendid innings for Worcestershire, but you can maybe confirm something about Mr. Whiteley, Yorkshireman of course, but it's to do with sheep.
Is it? It comes. I can neither confirm nor deny, as this one is played out by Ackerman to the man sweeping on the cover boundary, who is Lewis Rees.
He claims to have had the numbers of the Derbyshire promotion winning squad of 2012 shaven into the fleeces of members of his flock.
Oh, right.
Back at home.
It's not a story I've heard, I have to say. He got a 6 to win the game, didn't he, that got them promoted back in 2012. Heady days. Hughes is in, and that goes straight through to Harvey Hussain, who doesn't take it cleanly. He's standing up to Alex Hughes, who's much brisker than Lewis Rees, for instance. So it can't be easy for Hussain standing up. Dot ball 146 for 4, and left that season, I think. Ross Whiteley. Hughes in and bowls. This one is driven out into the offside, fielded by Madsen. No run. End of the over. 146 for 4, 52 to Ackerman, 5 to Taylor. Decent enough first over from Alex Hughes, just the 3 runs coming from it. Another one chalked off. 30 gone now.
You talk about doubling your score, don't you, from 30 to 50, which would give Leicestershire 292, but they have lost 4 key wickets potentially to come after Tom Taylor. Very much you do feel a bowling all-rounder essentially. Dieter Klein, ditto. Callum Parkinson, ditto. Gavin Griffiths and Chris Wright. In goes Watts from about 3 feet behind the return crease and bowls, and forward goes
It's peculiar.
Ackerman. That really was. It was almost next to Peter Hartley, the umpire, who's standing a good 2 yards back from the stumps. Watts in again, bowls, forward goes Taylor, turns it straight to mid-wicket. Hughes is going to throw, and had he hit the stumps it would have required a decision of Michael Gough, but although the throw was next to the stumps and Hussain took the bails off, the fact that it wasn't hitting the stumps meant that Ackerman had made his ground reasonably comfortably.
Yeah, had to hit.
Yeah.
It should have hit really from that position. He had quite a good view of the stumps.
Watt in again, drops a little bit short of this time, clipped around the corner by Ackerman, but a good tumbling stop by Alfie Gledhill. Means it's just a single. 149 for 4. Watt in again, drops short to Taylor, who goes back, just turns it through the vacant square leg area off leg stump, middle stump really, up to the fielder coming in, who's Rees, single taken. He's a big chap, Mark Watt. In he goes, bowls, couple of steps down the wicket, hit for 6. Ackerman made ground to it, and he really did get plenty of that one, almost into the onto the balcony of the pavilion alongside us, the members area, the boardroom. And that time he used his feet nicely and put a little bit more weight into the shot. That wasn't a chip, it was a fairly firm hit through the line, and he got plenty of it, and it was a long way over the top of the sight screen for 6. Ackerman on 260. Watt in again, bowls, drops a little bit short of this time. Ackerman goes back, pushes, perhaps waits for a moment because he thought that Alex Hughes might be going to get to that one. He couldn't do so, so Ackerman takes one and keeps the strike. He's just begun to accelerate again a little bit, Colin Ackerman. I think probably part of the reason for his slowing down in mid-innings was the loss of wickets at the other end, and he will still be conscious of his importance in that respect. I don't expect him to take too many unnecessary risks. 157 for 4 after 31, so 11 off that over.
Yeah, a bit expensive. Second 6 struck off Mark Watt. Northants 107 for 5. There's just a discussion going on between Hughes and his captain and Wayne Madsen at the moment. 107 for 5. Northants in the 28th over against Lancashire at Old Trafford, also in the Northern Group, and it's raining at Worcester, so it's on its way. Durham 114 for 4 after 27 overs and 2 balls.
It still looks quite light in that direction.
Seems okay. Get 10 overs of the second innings in to get a match, and jobs are good and really, isn't it? Nobody wants a point each. Here comes Alex Hughes then from the Bennett end, in and bowls to Ackerman, who clips it into the leg side down towards Sam Connors for a single.
Well, having lost their first 2 games, Leicestershire can only afford one more defeat really if they're going to have any real chance of getting through to the quarterfinals. 5 wins is the minimum, isn't it, really, to get you through.
If it was going to rain, I'd prefer it to rain at Headingley on Friday.
Yes. I'll take Old Trafford.
Here comes Hughes again. In bowls, and Taylor gives it a right old clout up towards mid-off, who's fielding on the edge of the 30-yard circle. He hit it so well that it got to him far too quickly for them to even consider it a brisk single. He remains on 7, 158 for 4. But he caught hold of that one all right. Nadler felt nice coming off the bat. What can he do with this next delivery from Hughes? He does exactly the same thing. He probably hits it not quite as cleanly, and he does get through for that quick single. He moves on to 8, 159 for 4.
Just a feeling that the innings hasn't really sparked yet, isn't there? It's
Ackerman could still do it though. 62 or 68 deliveries. As Richard said, he's caught up again with the number of deliveries that he's faced nearly. He was fallen a long way behind them at the fall of the 4th wicket, but he's just picking it up again now as he punches this one down the ground for a single. He's just okayed it with somewhere. I think he needs a new helmet, or he's just done a thing where he puts his hand around his head. It's the second time he's done it. In comes Hughes and bowls up to Taylor, who clips this nicely into the leg side up towards Tom Lace for a single.
He's one of those batsmen who wears a a sweatband
Ah,
around
that
his
one-
head, so
that
whether
one's
it
a
just
new
wants a new one of those
Yeah, that would make perfect sense.
underneath his helmet.
But he signalled to both ends, and then I think he also asked permission from Billy Godman, which I imagine was granted immediately. 161 for 4. A bit churlish if it were doubt you're not having a new one. Here's Hughes again, bowls, and Ackerman pushes this up towards Long On, who comes in off the boundary. Alfie Gledel.
Because Billy doesn't do churlish, does he?
No, he's not he's many things, is Billy's not churlish though. 2 overs from Alex Hughes now have cost him 8 runs. Good effort from him. 5 off that one. 162 for 4. Taylor has 9.
I remember a declaration a few years ago, which might have been described as churlish.
Ackerman 64. Well, yes. Yes, there was a lot of muttering, I remember, down below when we were waiting for interviews.
Will Davis jogs back off, having taken Colin Ackerman, whatever it was that he wanted. I didn't see whether he gave him
No, I didn't.
a sweatband, but Ackerman
trying to
is on
defend Billy.
strike. As Watt goes in and bowls and squares Ackerman up, and then he looks up and sees Taylor call him through for a quick single, squirted off the outside edge towards backward point, and Watt has his hand on his head momentarily, understandably so. And he goes again, this time to Tom Taylor. A couple of steps down the wicket, tries to whip it away through mid-wicket, doesn't get anything on it, comes off the pads, bounces back down the wicket on the offside. No run, 163 for 4.
It's like a minefield all of a sudden.
Not under the bright hot sunshine that we had on Sunday, but it's still played pretty well so far. His first 32.2 overs of the Leicestershire innings. He brings mid-wicket in. A little reverse paddle by Tom Taylor, and that might go all the way. And Les Gledhill puts in the slide and does, but it's crossed the ropes. It's not Gledhill, is it, out there? Is it the
Connors.
substitute? It's Connors,
Yeah.
I beg his pardon.
Connors.
Sam Connors. Because he's got a cap on, and of course Mr. Gledhill doesn't like the cap. They went chasing back down to third man, but it seemed to just gather pace, so Taylor maybe his first boundary. He moves on to 13, 167 for 4. In goes Watt, bowls again to Taylor full, and Taylor just waits for it and calmly clips him firmly through the vacant mid-on area down to Long On. Takes 1, moves on to 14. He's just beginning get moving now. Tom Taylor, 14 off 20 for him, 168 for 4. Watt in to Ackerman, who is forward, middle and off stumps, pushing it carefully out into the offside. Madsen, falling to his right, rather shovels the ball back towards Watt. Alex Hughes comes across from the leg side to backward point on the edge of the circle. And Madsen actually does retreat towards the edge of the circle, as well as Watt bowls fullish on off stump, driven by Ackerman through the vacant mid-off area down to long off. Critchley comes in, keeps the ball, and then he throws it to umpire Hartley. Remember, different ball used from each end in this competition. 169 for 4 after 33, so just beginning to get their run rate going again. Leicestershire, they've got it back over 5 anyway, and the last 5 overs have yielded 29 runs.
Yeah, picked it up again, and the Ackerman's just got close to a runner ball. He's still 7 disparity between the number of runs and the number of balls he's faced. Taylor 14 from 20. It's Ackerman on strike now as Alex Hughes begins his 3rd over, and it's played into the ground and back to him. Hughes can't hold on to it, but both hands above his head. Looks like he's shrunk, Alex Hughes, but that's because he's walking past Michael Goff, who's a huge man. Umpire at the far end. He's been on international duty over the course of the winter. Hughes bowls. This one is slapped out into the offside. Ooh, and one-handed there. That might have been interesting had Lewis Rees held on to that one, and he knows it as well. He's a little bit annoyed with himself, really, because he is left-handed and he went to his left, but he couldn't clutch it in. They get through for another single. Back to 67.
He might have thought it was still Madsen there. Throw's right-handed.
Yeah, to his throwing hand. But he couldn't hold on to it. Lewis Reese, the
50
long run's
partnership.
gone back.
With that single.
So it is.
Taylor just 14 of them.
He's on strike now. And this one is on the leg stump and turned into the leg side by Taylor. Fielded by Connors. There's a single taken. 171 for 4.
I think Leicestershire will be happier now and happy with the way Taylor's playing in a way. If these two stay together, you know, until 40 overs are up, then there's a bit of scope to accelerate, isn't there? But
Hughes in a balls to Ackerman, who pushes it out into the offside for another single. Deploy comes in off the cover boundary to do the fielding. 172 for 4. Ackerman moves up to 68. Brings Taylor back onto strike. Tall man. And waits as Hughes bowls trim, and again this one's on the leg stump and he turns it into the leg side, and Hughes looks a little disconsolate as he turns and walks back to his mark. He's just being farmed here for singles.
first partnership of 50 in the innings.
There's usually one somewhere, isn't there? I think it's annoying from a bowling point of view as this next one is driven in the air, not too far away from Lewis Reese and up towards wide mid-off. So Ackerman picks up another single to end the over. 174 for 4 at the end of 34 overs. Ackerman moves on to 69, I think. It'll tick over now, any second now. There we go. And Alex Hughes' 3 overs have cost him 13 runs. I'll nip back next door. Do a cup of tea.
The sun comes back out, or threatens to come back out, here at the Fisher County ground. There's Ackerman and Taylor. Ackerman takes his helmet off. I think he did just replace his sweatband there, so Will Davis brought one out and he popped it into his pocket, and now he's got a nice dry one on. 69 off 77 balls. Billy Godleman deep in conversation with Alfie Gledhill, who's going to come on at this pavilion end, and Wayne Madsen as well, setting the field for Gledhill bowling to Ackerman. At the moment the men out third man, long leg, extra cover and square leg, front of square a little bit, and I think he's probably going to leave it at that, which no, he's going to send his mid on back to long on as well, which means that third man has to come into the edge of the circle. Gledhill high stepping as he goes in and bowls to Ackerman outside off stump, and it's cut straight down to that third man position for 4. So having brought the man in from exactly that spot, he gives him a delivery, Ackerman, that he can cut away between the two sort of short third men on the edge of the circle. And that was a little bit of inexperience from Gledhill on that occasion. Ackerman into the 70s now, on to 73, 178 for 4. A few clouds building up away to the southwest, where the weather usually comes from. Gledhill into Ackerman. This time he dabs it down to the short third man and calls for the single, or at least Taylor perhaps called him through straight away for the single. Bit of work for Connors to do there. He picked up as the ball bounced and hurled the ball at the stumps, but even had it hit, Taylor had made his ground fairly comfortably. Ackerman on to 74. Watching now as Gledhill is in to Taylor. Slightly short of a good length delivery on leg stump. Taylor is half forward, pushing the ball in the air for a while. Good stop by Deploy, tumbling to his left at shortish mid-wicket. No run. And for 22 for Gledhill. This is halfway through his 4th over, so plenty of bowling left for him to do as he drives Taylor to a foolish delivery on off stump, straight out to Billy Godleman. Takes the single. Update coming for BBC Radio Leicester now. 180 up. Beginning to look a little healthier for Leicestershire. Well, they're recovering a little bit. They were 124-4 when Lewis Hill drove Matt Critchley straight to Wayne Madsen at extra cover to go for 19. But Colin Ackerman, who scored his maiden List A century in the last match against Worcestershire, really good 152. He's going nicely again here. He's 75 off 80 balls. Tom Taylor is giving him good support. Former Derbyshire player, of course, Taylor. Together, they've added 61 so far for the 5th wicket with power to add. Foxes 181 for 4 as we come to the end of the 35th over. Straight delivery from Gleadle is punched firmly by Taylor, but straight to mid-wicket where Deploy makes a stop. So end of the over, end of the 35th over. 181 for 4. After 35, 15 overs to go. If Leicestershire can score at 12 runs and over, maybe even 10 to 12, they can still think in terms of getting past 300. Done well over the last 8 to 10 overs. Last 5 overs have yielded 35 runs, so 7 runs and over. Ackerman, without taking any real undue risks, beginning to wrest the initiative back for the Foxes. Faces now from the Bennett end as down the slope comes Alex Hughes. Bowls a very slow looping delivery that is just pushed back to him by the South African. There's no run. Hughes taking the pace right off the ball now. In he goes and bowls to Ackerman again. Drives firmly, this time past Hughes' left hand. He stuck out his left hand, but it was travelling pretty quickly as he went out towards mid-off on the edge of the circle. Watt makes a stop, single taken. 76 to Ackerman. 182 for 4. Hughes has his hands on his hips at the moment. He's looking around. He's not particularly happy with his field. He is now. Down the slope he comes. Bowls to Tom Taylor full. Slower ball again, driven by Taylor. Hughes has a word with Taylor, his former teammate, as he goes back past. Smiling word. Driven out into the offside, picked up by Deploy coming off the cover boundary. Single taken again. Applause. As Hughes bustles in, bowls to Ackerman, firmly back past him. Well, not quite past him, because Hughes this time did stick out a left hand and half stopped the ball. Came off his wrist, I think, as it bounced up and went out on the leg side. So it hit his wrist quite hard. Godalmand picked up at mid-on. Was it Godalmand? No, Godalmand's out of mid-off now for the right-hander. So single taken anyway. Ackerman on to 77. Hughes in to Taylor, who clips him off his pad down towards fine leg. Gleadle comes in to meet the ball. Throws on the bounce to Harvey Hussain behind the stumps. Applause from Hussain because it was right next to the stumps. Gleadle, having got his throw away, jogs across the ropes and picks up a drinks carton, which he throws back over the ropes, having refreshed himself. In goes Hughes, bowls down the leg side, whipped away by Ackerman. Second bounce to Gleadle. This time he'll probably be a bit cross with himself there. Ackerman, it did rather sit up outside leg stump, and he picked out the fielder a bit. So just the one to Ackerman. Keeps the strike. He moves on to 78. 186, so just 5 off the over, which you'd probably take if you were the bowler at this stage of the innings. Hughes has bowled 4 overs, none for 18, his figures, but a real brains trust meeting now. Madsen, Godalmand, Hussain, Hughes. Just want to get a little bit of control back here, Derbyshire, because these two have gone nicely for Leicestershire's 5th wicket. 120 for 4 when they came together. 25 overs. No wickets since then. Now 186 for 4. 66 then, the partnership of 12.3 overs. Ackerman, absolutely key wicket. If he's here for another 10 overs or so, and Leicestershire will be thinking in terms of 300. If they can get Ackerman though, Derbyshire, they'll be thinking in terms of 240, 250. Huge difference. Gledhill in, bowls to Ackerman, fullish on mid and leg stumps. He waits for it, the South African. Plays it firmly out towards long on, jogs a single. So I think he knows, Ackerman, I'm sure he knows that he cannot afford to give it away. A cup of tea, I think. Could have been coffee. Slightly murky, appears. In goes Gledhill, clipped nicely by Taylor. Nice piece of timing, but straight out to the fielder on the long on boundary. Just a single. Matt Critchley it is down there. Taylor into the 20s though now. And a good job for his side so far. 20 off 28 balls. Ackerman back on strike, looks around him, sees those two short third men still there, as in goes Gledhill, and it is the finer of the two short third men who does the fielding on that occasion, Sam Connors. Played down into the ground by Ackerman, into the 80s now, 80 off 86 balls.
Made with very limited facilities, I would hasten to add.
Kettle, tea bag, milk, what do you want?
Well, there's no bin in there or anything.
There is shown, and underneath there should be a bin.
I didn't see one. I've tried to keep as tidy as I can.
3 balls left in the 37th over, 189 for 4. Alfie Gledhill now having a word with his captain Billy Godleman at mid-off, and Godleman says to mid-wicket, right, you go back, and he says to long leg, you come up to the edge of the circle. Gledhill in, bowls, and hit away by Taylor to the man on the mid-wicket boundary, so might just have saved 3 there, might have given away 1, might just have picked him out as well. Either way, just a single is taken. Taylor on to 21, 190 for 4. No great flurry of boundaries, but Leicestershire keeping the scoreboard ticking. They've got the run rate up to 5.2 now as Gledhill is in to Ackerman. Slightly short of a good length on middle stump. He goes back, Ackerman. Jumps up onto his toes almost as he forces the ball out past Madsen, who runs back from short extra to the edge of the circle. Ackerman takes a single, moves on to 81. 191 for 4. A murmur of conversation down in front of us, in front of the pavilion. Gledhill in, bowls, and lofted from outside off stump, a full toss, a low full toss outside off stump. Somehow Tom Taylor scoops it over his left shoulder down to fine leg for 4. Quite how he managed to do that is utterly beyond me. He managed it though, picks up 4, moves on to 25, 195 for 4. Did he do that?
It's not in the coaching manual, that one, is it? He was looking to play the scoop. I think Gledhill saw him and put it further outside the off stump than he ordinarily would have done. It turned into a full toss. These bats, I don't think it was the bat. He flicked it. He sort of flicked it. Very strange looking shot.
From quite low down as well. High over, short, fine leg.
Derbyshire rattled through these overs. Going to finish early.
Good to see.
It's unheard of.
Cut-off time 2:31.
Got an hour and a quarter to bowl the remaining overs.
Should be well short.
His Hughes bowls what looked like a slower delivery to Ackerman, who drives it out into the offside. Deploy stumbles as he picks the ball up until they get back comfortably for the second. 197 for 4. First 100 took 20 overs. This one, second 100 is going to be slightly quicker. Hughes is in and bowls, and again it's slapped out into the offside. There'll only be 1 this time because it's much closer to deploy.
Fango down in Melbourne, thinks the pitch may slow down a bit if the rain stays away. He's been impressed with Tom Taylor, surprised by his ability with the bat. He says he reminds him of Wayne White, but with a brain.
Afternoon, Wayne.
I'm sure he won't be listening. That's why I said it. I'm sure he won't be listening.
What? 8 for 4. Hughes balls. Oh, he's missed that one. They go for a stumping and he's gone. Well, Alex Hughes has got a stumping on his record. It was a good piece of work by Harvey Hussain. Taylor couldn't quite believe it. He looked down at his feet, but his foot had either raised or left the ground. And he still had a look round, and Peter Hartley just nodded at him and said, "Yeah, you were out."
Well, his foot unquestionably went forward, but he whipped it back in, and I think that he thought maybe he just got it back in time, but Peter Hartley said, "No, you didn't." So a very useful partnership comes to an end for the Foxes. Useful little innings from Tom Taylor, 25 off 31 balls.
Good piece of work by Harvey Hussain, though. He had to be quick standing up, and he's not slow as Carl Parkinson comes out to bat. Good hand there for Tom Taylor. It was a nice innings. Just
68.
moments after having praise lavished on him.
Partnership. Indeed. Well,
he perishes.
Beg your pardon, not 68, 78, isn't it? 78 of 13.5 overs at 5.7.
78. To the 5th wicket, which is a decent effort, given what had happened previous to it.
Yeah, they needed it, Leicestershire. But the innings back in the balance a bit. No.
What can Parky do? He's a better bat than his brother, isn't he? That's only a personal opinion.
I think it's shared by Callum Parkinson.
I'm sure it is. I can't imagine that he's ever reminded his brother of that last over that Lancashire needed 5 off at Durham and failed to get home when he tried to clear the ropes when there were singles everywhere. That was one of the more bizarre T20 matches that I watched last season on the telly.
So his first team innings of the season.
Is it really? It's the first appearance of the season? Good heavens. I'd be nervous. He's just seen a stumping. Here's Alex Hughes then. Bowls to Parkinson, who defends this straight back to the bowler, and there's no run. 198 for 5. You're saying how nice it was to see Harvey Hussain with the gloves. He was told at the start of the season, "You're the #1 keeper." And got a century against the Students and 2 or 3 half centuries as well in the Championship as Hughes bowls to him, and this one is pushed out into the offside for a single by Parkinson. 199 for 5. I asked him if it was a different kind of pressure, because he's been in and out of the side since he was 17. He's still only 23 now, so it's a different kind of pressure because it's yours to lose. He's done nothing particularly wrong so far as Ackerman cuts this away for 4 runs. Nice shot. Once it had beaten the man at backward point, it was always going to race away to the boundary, and it did beat Matt Critchley, who's at backward point. Dived to his right but couldn't stop it. The 200 is up for Leicestershire. 203 for 5 after 38 overs, and Ackerman moves on to 88. That was a nice shot.
He's sort of gauged his innings really cleverly, hasn't he, Ackerman? He hasn't taken too many risks. A couple of sixes, but they've both cleared the boundaries by a distance. But been, so far at least, nothing too wild. He's been very conscious, I feel, of his responsibilities.
I think Gladwell 2 overs for 15, or is it 15? 16, 2 overs 16, I beg your pardon, and he's got the hook. Lewis Rees is back.
1 for 23 from 6 for Rees as he comes in and bowls to Callum Parkinson, who turns him nicely off his legs down towards long leg. What the fielder down there, so just the single to Parkinson. Moves on to 204 for 5. It's getting a little bit dark now here at the Fisher County ground, especially away to the sort of southwest. over the Bennett end as Rees round the wicket to Colin Ackerman, brings him forward on Midland off stumps, but good work by bouncing Madsen, moving away to his left, make sure there's no chance of a single.
Yeah, still off for rain at Worcester. It looks like it might be prolonged should it arrive.
Well, might just drift past, you never quite know. In goes Rees, bowls, back goes Ackerman, and again Madsen is alert and quick and athletic, getting across to his left. Seems to have been 35 for about ever, Wayne Madsen. I won't be surprised to know that he still is 35. Check, actually.
A bit older.
Rees in, bowls, and thick inside edge as he went for the drive there, held it right back. You could almost see him holding it, 2 fingers across the seam there, Rees, and the frustrated Ackerman went for the drive and lucky to get away with that one. Thick inside edge went nowhere. .1984. In goes Rees, bowls, and this time he has got it past Madsen. Ackerman drives it out to long off. Critchley meets the ball about 5 yards in from the ropes. Ackerman, rehearsing the shot, just settles for 1. So January 1984, so he is 35. Exactly that.
He'll be playing till he's 39. His current contract.
Rees in to finish his over, bowls to Parkinson, and a little bit short outside off stump. Parkinson crossed with himself because he did have time to get that one past Madsen, but he was in position way too early, went at it a little bit too soon, ended up guiding it straight to the 35-year-old South African. End of the over, 205 for 5. Ackerman has 89 off 94 balls, Parkinson 2 off 4.
English qualified, of course, as he was very keen to point out
Yeah.
the other day. With the ready to meet Leas Deploy after the game, and he'd gone off to the car or something. Wayne Madsen, I think he's gone as hard as typical of you South Africans. He said, "I'm English." He's Alex Hughes in and bowls, and Ackerman cuts for 4. Nice shot. Just waited for it and then cut it away. Nothing that Matt Critchley at backward point could do, and nothing that the man out on the boundary, who is Leas Deploy himself, could do. He came back, incidentally, Leas, to chat with us.
Well, although he was joking, when he did first qualify, there was sort of some serious talk about Wayne and England.
Second division runs don't count, do they?
Apparently.
Here is Hughes again, in and bowls, and this one is turned into the leg side back, but he wants 2 here. In off the boundary comes Lace. He hurls the ball in now. That's going to be tight, but he was back in time. Ackerman, good running by him. He just flexes his left knee as he gets back in. Moves on to 90.
Yeah, he did stretch his hamstring, didn't he, earlier as well? Quite a long time ago now.
He's limping a little bit.
He will be required to bowl a few overs as well. He worked hard on his off-spin over the winter.
95 from 96 now, and this next delivery is pushed down the ground, so he picks up a single. Moves on to 96, 212 for 5, brings Parkinson back onto strike. Only halfway through this Alex Hughes over, 1 for 33 from 5.5. All perfectly acceptable figures. In white ball cricket, the wind is getting up, it's starting to ruffle the shirts of the fielders out there now as well. As Hughes is in, bowls, and Parkinson pushes it out into the offside. And there's no run.
The clouds are sort of coming actually from the southeast a little bit, judging by, well, at least the wind is. That's where it's pushing the clouds in, as you say.
That might be good, because it's all in the west, isn't it, the bad weather. It's been across Ireland for a couple of days. There's Hughes bowls and Parkinson clips that into the leg side and is dropped.
Yeah.
By Matt Critchley, diving forward. Difficult, those catches, when you're diving forward, and he couldn't quite cling onto it, but he'll be disappointed, I'm sure. He just clipped it almost on the half volley.
He got there, didn't he?
Yeah.
I thought he got it.
And then it dribbled away. 2-1-2 for 5 it remains, and Hughes comes in and bowls, and it's played back to him by Callum Parkinson, who remains on 2. 212 for 5 at the end of 40 overs, then 10 to go. And Colin Ackerman He's one boundary away from what would be a splendid century in the context of what's gone on around him.
It would be remarkable, really. No list A centuries
And then 2 in 2.
in 78 games, and then 2 come along at once.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to mention that, but you have. So
Well, I thought-
it's
I
all right
thought-
because you mentioned it.
I'm allowed to mention.
You are.
We can't affect it, Richard, honestly. People in the box on Saturday lifting their feet off the ground when the 111 was on the board.
Oh, heaven's sake.
Yes, quite.
Lewis Rees, 7 overs, no maidens, but just 25 runs conceded from those 7 overs, and he's picked up a wicket, and he's going to be bowling to Colin Ackerman on 96. Is he going to change the field with Ackerman approaching that landmark? Alex Hughes is having a quick word with him at mid-on before retreating to long gone. I think he'd be happy to do it in singles, to be honest. In goes Rees and bowls. Ackerman goes back and cuts pleasantly to point. There is a man on the point boundary, comes off the point boundary to meet the ball. Tom Lace. He should come from Nottingham, shouldn't he?
Yes.
Londoner, isn't he? Or is it
He is a Londoner, yeah.
Savannah, anyway.
Yeah, he is a Londoner.
And Ackerman takes the one. 213 for 5. Ackerman 97. Watches as Parkinson 2 from 7. Little aeroplane drifts overhead. Rees is in again. Bowls. Parkinson pushes it out into the offside. Not quite as elegantly as Ackerman, but to exactly the same effect. Past Madison. Lace comes off the ropes and a single is taken. Perhaps heading for Leicester Aerodrome. Circuits and bumps.
Foss International.
In goes Rees and bowls, drops a little bit short. Ackerman goes back, plays it firmly through mid-on down to long gone. Has its own claims to fame, Leicester Aerodrome. The site of the first blind parachute jump. Staff have never forgotten, but you never forget to hear when a golden Labrador screams as it... In goes Rees and bowls on off stumps. Sorry, it's a
Cruelty to animals.
cruel joke, but it is just a joke, I'm
It
sure.
is, yes,
I'm
yes.
sure that the Labrador wasn't made to go with him.
No, they didn't scream.
Dot ball. Parkinson remains on 3. 215 for 5. Ackerman 98 off 99. Watches. There's Rees. 2 balls to go, and this is 8th over. Goes in, bowls to Parkinson, who drives it firmly back past him. He sticks out a right foot, but without any real serious intent, and he's hit it so straight that Hughes actually loses his shoe as he bends down to pick up the ball, and as a result doesn't pick up the ball cleanly. Rees raises his eyes to the heavens in surprise there. Quite how he managed to lose a shoe. They can't be very tightly fastened, but he did. So 2 were taken. Parkinson on to 5. Rees is ready,
He
but
hasn't got his
Parkinson...
shoe on yet, I don't think.
No, he isn't. He hadn't fastened his laces, so he was down on one knee, and Parkinson stepped back rightly, and Hughes raises a hand and apologises. Actually, he's doing both laces. He was the one who went off to change his shoes, wasn't he, earlier?
Yeah.
Alex Hughes.
I don't know, normally dresses in.
Excuse me. 1 ball to go in the over. In goes Rees and bowls. Clipped into the leg side, looping in past mid-wicket, and Parkinson has kept the strike with that single. It was far too soon on that one, but he got enough on it, got it past mid-wicket. Out to Duploy coming in off the mid-wicket boundary. Single taken. Parkinson on to 6. 218 for 5. 9 overs to go. Ackerman 98 off 99.
Obviously Alex Hughes' bowling boots are slightly looser, a looser fit than his normal fielding boots, because he's going to continue from the Bennett end. He's bowled 6 overs, taking 1 for 33 so far. 1 wicket was the last one to fall. Then Tom Taylor stuck by Harvey Hussain for 25. Madsen and Godalming just have a word with Hughes before he is allowed to begin the next over.
It does look dark where the wind's coming from, but at the moment we're okay.
We'll get a shower at some point, but I'm sure we'll be okay. I've just got a feeling we'll be okay. Here comes Hughes then, in, balls to Parkinson, who clips this into the leg side, but straight to the man fielding at mid-wicket, who is Matt Critchley, and there's no run. 2-1-8 for 5. Hughes is in once more, and Parkinson goes nicely over the top, inside out shot out to the extra cover boundary for 4 runs. That was a nice shot from Callum Parkinson.
It was, because he didn't sort of commit to the shot until he saw what sort of ball it was. Just gave himself that little bit of extra room. Played it nicely, as you say. Double figures for him.
The Bolton boy.
Yeah, he's been miserable all season.
I meant to ask him, actually.
Goodness me.
Completely fair. My lad's not best pleased either.
Gloomy all the way through the season.
Yeah. Culminating in double gloom at the weekend when they were finally relegated.
And the new chap who's going to buy it's no great improvement, is he?
Well, no. I wouldn't have said so, personally, but there we go. Here's Hughes bowls, Parkinson just plays that out to the offside. It's good fielding again by Wayne Madsen, shuffling away to his left and then putting in the slide, making sure that the ball didn't get past him at a sort of wide mid-wicket area. Here's Hughes again, 2-2-2 for 5 bowls. This one is lifted down the ground, but it's going to fall a good 10 yards in front of the man at long on. They go through for a single, 223 for 5. Parkinson on to 11. Ackerman has 98.
Yeah, just been starved of the strike in the last over or two by Callum Parkinson. Giving him 1.
You doing this one? Hughes in and bowls to Ackerman, who pushes it out up towards mid-off, and there's no run.
I quite like to do the first-class centuries, but
you're not worried about these ones that don't count. I'll tell him. I'll mention that to him later when he's got back-to-back centuries in.
Of course they count, but you know what I mean.
Bowls to Ackerman, who pushes this down the ground for a single and moves on to 99. He also pinches the strike. Parkinson has 11, 224 for 5 after 42 overs.
8 overs to go.
We've got the lights on in a minute, aren't they?
They will, maybe during the lunch interval. Who knows? 8 overs to go. They'll want 80 from those last 8. I would have thought. Leicestershire, they'll want to score it at least 10 and over with 5 wickets in hand, which would give them the sort of 300. But if we do get a shower, Derbyshire will fancy the chance of getting ahead on Duckworth Lewis and sort of staying ahead.
The highest score against Derbyshire is only 301 though, so I know history doesn't always tell you everything. Derbyshire's highest score 298, so anything around that 300 mark will be competitive, you would have thought.
Lewis Rees then in from the pavilion end, bowls to Ackerman, who gets a good ball on off stump. That isn't going to be the single he needs. He thought it was. He went jogging down the pitch, but Wayne Madsen, as ever, scrambled across some short extra, just got his hand to the ball, pushed it towards Lewis Rees. Docked. 2-2-4 for 5 remains a score. Rees in again to Ackerman, and this time it is going to be his century. Pushes it past Madsen out towards deep extra cover, turns for the second, and very well batted. Colin Ackerman, 152, not out against Worcestershire on Sunday, a maiden list day century, and he's followed it with another in as many innings. 101, it's come off 103 balls, and in a way it's been almost as hard-earned, if not more hard-earned, than the big century against Worcestershire. And when he's got the monkey off his back, he said, when he'd got that century against Worcestershire, and clearly he has relaxed into the innings, really. Update coming from BBC Radio Leicester. as you get to me. Colin Ackerman, the Leicestershire batsman, has just gone into his second century in as many innings. He hadn't scored a List A century in his previous 77, but he got a very good one against Worcestershire on Sunday as he picks up 4 more there with a reverse sweep, and he's just gone to 3 figures against Derbyshire as well. He's just gone on to 105 off 104 balls. Been a vital innings for the Foxes as well. Callum Parkinson is with him at the moment. He's on 11 off 15. The score's gone on to 230. There are 7 overs or so to go in the innings. They'll be looking for 300 plus, but it is getting dark here down at the Fisher County ground. The Foxes 230 for 5. In goes Rees and bowls, and short and pulled hard like a rocket around the corner by Ackerman. Rees has just lost it a little bit in this over. That reverse sweep over short third man, what became short third man, well, was short third man, just then lost his line, and that one drifted onto leg stump, and Ackerman absolutely put it away, absolutely rifled it past Michael Goffert's square leg. He's moved on to 109 now, 234 for 5. And this is what he did actually against Worcestershire, sort of about to run a ball going to 100, and then absolutely the last 50 came off about 20 balls. Rees in again to Ackerman, who drives pleasantly, and that might be 4 as well. As he got it in the gap? No, he hasn't, as the man at cover. Tom Lace runs across to extra cover, deep extra cover, and makes a stop. 2 runs to Ackerman, but that is 4, 10, 12 off the over so far.
Certainly
Check
to double
that.
figures.
Yeah.
Certainly to double figures.
1 ball to go.
Yeah, 12.
Rees turns in, drops a little bit short. Ackerman goes back and wisely, I think probably from his and Leicestershire's point of view, decides keeping the strikes more important in these circumstances and takes the single. Rees hands the ball to the umpire. 237 for 5. Just the confirmation of the figures for Colin Ackerman.
8 4s and 2 6s. Really good knock. Really good knock in the circumstances as well. They were in a spot of bother earlier on, 82 for 3 and 120 for 4. Got them up to 237 for 5 for only the loss of Tom Taylor. Parkinson offering him decent support at the moment. He'll be at the non-strikers end once the meeting has finally come to a conclusion at the far end of the ground. Northamptonshire slow going for them. 169 for 5 after 37.5 overs against Lancashire at Old Trafford.
Well, that's kind of where the weather's coming. Not Northampton.
No, at Old Trafford, yeah.
Okay.
And it's still raining at Worcester. Durham 114 for 4, Somerset 212 for 4 against Sussex after 43 overs down at Hove. So Somerset struggling a touch there with the run rate, but with wickets in hand, they've started well this season.
Mrs. Griffiths says rain from 13:55 according to one particular website.
Oh, excellent. Just when they finish the innings. Might just rain over lunch. Here comes Alex Hughes then from the Bennett end, bowling to Colin Ackerman, who whips this away off his legs down towards a deep backward square leg. Around goes Alfie Gledall, and he manages to keep the ball in. They're going to come back for a 3rd as well here. That's good running. They do get back for a 3rd. I don't think Alex Hughes will be too disappointed, in all honesty. I think he'd probably prefer to be bowling to Callum Parkinson than Colin Ackerman, but
Yeah, sort of showers though.
just showery. Yes. Oh, yeah. I think there'll be 10 overs of the second innings.
I think we might get a game.
Yeah, I think you're right. We might have to wait for a while, but we'll get one at some point.
I think that's the first time we've heard from Mrs. Griffiths this season. Hope all well.
First time we've had poor weather. Just keeping an eye on the radar. Hughes is in and bowls. Oh, and this is straight up in the air now then. Is this going to be a catch for Critchley? It is, and it's actually Billy Godleman. Would you believe that? That's Billy Godleman who's racing away to take the catch. It was coming over his shoulder. That's a fine catch. And Parkinson goes for 11. He's got a leading edge on that one. Callum Parkinson, 240 for 6 now, Leicestershire. And Alex Hughes has a second wicket. I said he'd prefer to bowl to Callum Parkinson than Colin Ackerman, and so it proved, as Derbyshire pick up their 6th wicket, 240 for 6.
.5 overs to go. Absolutely crucial, you feel. Lilly comes in to replace Callum Parkinson. Comes with a reputation as a big hitter, Aaron Lilly. Was used by Lancashire as a pinch hitter. They could do with him coming off here. The Foxes, they could do with 3 or 4 big overs. No. But I think they'll, Gavin Griffiths and Chris Wright in particular, Dieter Klein, that they're all perfectly. Klein in particular has turned himself into a really useful batsman. He got a good 90 in the county championship at the end of last season against Glamorgan, and 40 odd against Durham in this competition a few days ago. So they'll feel that even if Lilly doesn't come off,
Derbyshire are also going to have to fiddle some overs here, aren't they? Because
yeah, I'm just thinking. Well,
Hughes has got 2 left after this. Rees has got 1 left, and then Gledhill has got 5 and Connors 4. But they're relatively inexperienced and pace on, which the ball can go anywhere, can't it? Really. Here's Hughes, the batsman did cross. Ackerman's on strike, and he turns this into the leg side for a single. They've run the first one quickly but declined the second because Lace is in off the boundary to do the fielding, so Ackerman moves on to 116. 241 for 6. Aaron Lilly on strike for the first time. Will take a guard. One of the men out on the offside boundary comes into the edge of the 30-yard circle.
Bowled over so quickly, you wonder why they can't do it. These teams can't do it this quickly in the county championship.
Yeah. I think the amount of time they have to bowl 50 overs is ridiculous, though, isn't it? This next delivery from Hughes is just dabbed down into the offside by Lilly, gets off strike, gets off the mark as well with that single. 242 for 6.
It's going to be a good half an hour in hand.
Yeah, I don't think they don't need that much time.
No, they don't.
Is it 3.5 hours they give them to bowl their overs? Most of these 50 over games scheduled close 6:45 are finishing between 6 and 1/4 aren't they? The latest, really. We'll get this one finished though. In comes Hughes and bowls to Ackerman, who pulls this around the corner. They've run the first one quickly again now, then they are coming back for the second. They're going to take on Tom Lacey's arm, and they were right to do so because they get back comfortably for the second run. Ackerman moves on to 118. 244 for 6.
Quick hands, Colin Ackerman.
These 2 are good runners between the wickets as well. Lilly's no slouch, is he? Hughes. 2 for Alex Hughes in terms of wickets today. Bowls to Ackerman, who, off the final delivery of Hughes' 8th over, just pushes it out into the offside, takes the single and keeps the strike. 119 for Ackerman, 1 to Lilly. 245 for 6 at the end of Hughes' 8th over. 2 for 47, his figures. 44 overs now gone, so 6 to go.
His 100 against Worcestershire, the 100 he reached off 110 balls, and he reached 150, he was on 140, so the next 50 came off just 30 balls.
They're going to give Lewis Rees his final over from the pavilion end. And the options after that are the spinners or the youngsters. They'll have to bowl 2 overs from this end between them. They'll have to find an over from the Bennett end as well, because Hughes has bowled 8. No Rampal, no Van Beek for Derbyshire, so they're 2 main strike bowlers. 2 of the more experienced members of the squad not playing today.
In goes Rees and bowls, and Slog swept out to mid-wicket, and he's caught. Ackerman goes. So Lewis Rees pitched one up, and Ackerman went for the slog sweep. He got plenty of it, but he also picked out the man on the mid-wicket boundary, who is Duploi, and he made no mistake. Here's Duploi, and Ackerman's furious with himself, actually, because with 6 overs to go, he knows that those 6 overs would have expected to yield 50 to 60 runs had he been there. Well, Lilly's going to have to pick up the baton now, but very well played, Colin Ackerman. A second century in as many List A innings.
It's a big wicket that for Derbyshire in terms of keeping Leicestershire down. That really dark patch has gone past away in the distance, which is great news. I'm not suggesting we're going to stay completely dry here, but really dark patch where it looks like it is absolutely chucking it down away in the distance. It appears to have gone past.
He's 119, came off 112 balls.
10 fours and 2 sixes.
And as Dave says,
yeah, good knock. A really a pivotal, crucial innings as far as Leicestershire are concerned. We've got all the superstitious men out there together. A 7 and a 77. Couldn't get more 7s if we tried. Wayne Madsen, they've just walked past him. He's got 77 on his back as well.
at the moment it's a decent score, but by no means intimidating. 300 would be something of a psychological barrier for Derbyshire to get over, but I don't think at the moment Billy Godalming and his men will be too unhappy with the situation.
No, I don't. There's always DL or DLS to take into consideration later on.
5.6 the run rate at the moment. Rees, 2 wickets to his name now, is in to Aaron Lilly, who just drifts onto the pads. The former Lancashire player tries to work it away on the leg side, doesn't get anything on it. There's a sort of howl of disapproval, really, rather than an appeal from behind the stumps from Harvey Hussain. And the leg bye is taken.
Lewis Rees from Lancs as well.
Yeah.
I was thinking how many former Lancashire players were playing in this match. Matt Critchley was in the...
plenty. Gavin Griffiths.
Yeah. Parkinson,
Harry Dearden.
Horton. Everybody's played at Lancashire at some time.
Feels that way. Behind the scenes, Tom Smith.
Yeah.
At Leicestershire as Rees staying round the wicket to Dieter Klein, who drives thick outside edge along the ground all the way, almost between the two short third man, the first of the wider of the two. Alfie Gledhill gets across and makes a stop. Klein takes 1. Those dark clouds drifting just south of the ground at the moment. I just get away with it.
They will have the covers poised, won't we, at lunchtime? There is a member of the ground staff by the tractor.
Rees in again and hit in the air just wide of the diving Madsen. Nearly made it 3 catches at that short extra cover position. Critchley gets his throw away, and good running by Dieter Klein to make his ground, although Rees did take the bails off and turned in appeal to umpire Hartley. Klein had made his ground. They always seem to know, really, don't they?
Yes.
Players. Takes 2, Lilly. He moves on to 3, 249 for 7. 2 balls left in the over. In goes Rees and bowls a very slow ball that's whipped away over mid-wicket for over square leg for a big 6. It was a attempted slower delivery, and unfortunately rather floated up a full toss on leg stump about knee high, and I might have fancied having a whack at that one.
Yeah, it was horrible, wasn't it? Yeah, like you say, it was just a slower ball that, well, it all went wrong and dispatched over the shorter boundary, but it would have cleared many boundaries.
I suspect so. Lilly on to 9, Rees bowls to him short, pulled over mid-wicket for 6 more. Against the meat. Ooh, what a bit. The ball's come back down. Did a bit come off the side of the meat then? Something black fell down as it thumped into it. The ball kind of followed it back, but not quite sure what came down there. Hopefully it wasn't anything too intrinsic. consecutive sixes. Did all the lights go out there? No, they're still on. I can see them in the meat there. And Rees, having picked up his second wicket, then conceded 12 off his last 2 balls. Still think he's bowled pretty well though. 10 overs, 2 for 59, is that?
I think it is 59.
He'd have probably taken that arguably
Yeah,
at the
just about,
start.
just about.
2 for sort of
Yeah.
52 would have been brilliant, really. 2 for under 60s. It's never a horrendous result.
No. 5 overs to go. 261 for 7.
Lilly now holds the key, I think.
Lilly teeing off. Alex Hughes about to bowl his penultimate over in almost pitch black. We'll get these lights on.
It's up to the umpires, isn't it? We have
Yeah.
1 or 2 little spots
So
of
we do, yes, indeed.
rain.
Yes. Because I've left my window open next door with all that electrical equipment next to it. If it starts raining in, I should be gone.
Fizzing and popping.
Currently supplying the feed for 11:16 a.m. As Hughes is in and bowls to Klein, who tries to muscle this out into the leg side, gets 1 and has declined the second. That was well fielded by the man coming in off the boundary. I will tell you, it was Wayne Madsen. That's how dark it is. I can't tell Wayne Madsen anymore. The Leicestershire ground staff are moving, and the Derbyshire ground staff, coaching staff are moving all their equipment indoors down below us. There's a sign, if you needed one.
Scoreboard is very bright.
Hughes in and bowls, and that is pulled into the leg side. That'll be straight to Wayne Madsen though, and he'll only get a single for that one, Lilly. Move on to 16, 263 for 7.
All the guys with 7 playing a private game at the moment. Lilly 7, Madsen 77, Klein 77.
Hughes 8 and 1. Take away 1 from the other. He's into bowl. Bowls to Klein. Oh dear. That's a real mow, and he almost falls over as well as he plays. It came off a bottom edge, and as a result there might have been 2 there had he not slipped initially, because it barely got outside the 30-yard circle. The 2 men outside on the leg side are quite deep, but because he slipped initially, they've just taken the 1. 264 for 7. Klein moves on to 3. 16 to Lilly. 119 from Colin Ackerman, the key to this whole innings. As Hughes is on his way in again now, and balls that one is clipped down the leg side. There's a shot that stumps says the no from Alfie Gledel, who decided to hold on to the ball, and they pick up a single. He looked a little troubled before when he walked down after his final over, Alfie Gledel. He may well be required to bowl 1 more over, unless they go with spin, which would be a risk.
Be brave.
Be as much of a risk possibly. I think you've got to put your faith in the kids, haven't you? You've got to say, right, well, that's what you're here for.
You learn.
He took 3 wickets on Sunday. This one is a slower delivery from Hughes. It's turned around the corner. Gledel gives up the chase. They're going to come back for a second as Lace reaches the ball now. 2 more to Klein. 267 for 7. 4 overs. 1 ball of the innings remaining. 2 for 53 at the moment, Alex Hughes, from his 8 overs and 5 balls. Malloy continues to take gear back indoors. So the tractor.
Sounds like it. I can see the rain in the air now.
The lights are coming on now as in comes Hughes, and this one is clubbed into the leg side. Oh, there it is. Well, good stop by Wayne Madsen, diving away to his right hand side. It looked like it was going to be 4 once I'd located it. The rain is starting to get heavier now. Not quite hitting the ISDN box next door, so we're okay. End of the over. And what are they saying here? The umpires are actually conferring. They're looking to the sky, which is generally where the rain comes from.
Leicestershire will want these last 4 overs, won't they?
Yes, they will.
With Lilly there, having hit a couple of 6s.
I just wonder, they are in conference here, the umpires, and what are they going to do? They're going to play on for now. I think, no, they're not. They're coming off.
That might be that.
So, as a result, I shall have to nip next door where they're currently on.
So 269 for 7 after 46 overs. The covers are coming on. Dieter Klein 7 not out. Aaron Lilly 17 not out. And if it's not possible for Leicester to have these last 4 overs, this might just suit. That said, the umpires are staying out there. The purple covers being dragged out by the orange tractor. Now they are coming off. I think they will, if they can, try and get those last 4 overs in. The umpires Michael Goffin, Peter Hartley. For the time being, as more covers are coming out, we have a delay here at the Fisher County Ground. The run rate at the moment is 5.9. It is dark. The rain isn't particularly heavy at the moment. So, we'll leave the FX mic on. Might just have to give them a little bit of extra cover, the FX mics. But for the time being, we're going to leave you from the Fisher County Ground. 269 for 7, Leicestershire's first innings score. The rain is getting a little heavier now, in fairness, and as a consequence, the covers are coming out for the square as well as for the pitch. We'll keep you updated if anything changes. For the moment, we'll just say goodbye from the Fisher County Ground. The Cuppers are out actually at the moment down here on county ground. A shower has just prevented Leicestershire from finishing their innings. They're on 269 for 7 of 46 overs, so 4 overs remain, and they'd want those overs as well because Aaron Lilly on 17 not out at the moment is going well. So they're going to hope that the rain stops shortly and the covers will come back off. Otherwise they might just lose those 4 overs, and they'll start Derbyshire with a chase of just 270 to win. The innings was built around a fine century, his second in consecutive innings, from Colin Ackerman, the South African, who scored 152 against Worcestershire on Sunday, 119 against Derbyshire off 112 balls, 10 fours and 2 sixes. So it's a competitive score for the Foxes, but it's by no means decisive at the moment as we wait for the rain to stop.
Raining. Yeah. No, they're not, because they stopped at one point, didn't they? Just before they stopped playing the top ball. Really artistical twist.
We just 4 to go, I think.
Yeah. So they're saying 2:30, right, that's that.
Because that's fine now, really.
And they're not bringing any colours on any, we've got plenty more colours to bring on, but they're not on it.
I don't know. It's a shot.
No.
restart. How fast? Nothing. we've got to have our four overs, so... Well, we don't have to. Well, we don't... In these circumstances. Yeah. Well, I mean, they've had the break. If work comes to work, it's just be a 10-minute break to see what you do. I think we'll finish by 42.
Yeah.
and that would be a half-hour break, starting at 43. Pragmatic sense, which is unusual. And for umpires.
It would be very unfair if these 4 overs could be big ones, couldn't they? So.
Well, I mean,
It's clearer.
I mean, well, it was different. But if you have
well, it should be, but I'm not sure. I'll have to actual score is what it would have been.
Does anyone know what that word is? What's the S?
Stern.
Oh, right.
Instead of just a blue established for 50 over. So there should be some adjustments on that. So, yeah. The blue stern. Got quite a foul. I'm not sure. The scores of the shoots and everything like that.
Yeah, as far as
Starting with them, good start. So, I think all right. Wait for 2:30, which is still 15 minutes away.
well, I suppose they then take the decision. Maybe they just make the decision before realising that the outdoor shot is being outgrown.
No, they don't need to drag anything around, they just get on with it. No worries.